Chapter 905. Above the nine heavens, there was a sea of lightning. Just by standing in the sky, the nine great emperors formed a sea of lightning with boundless divine might. After all, they were the nine great emperors of the primordial era. Although there were strong and weak ones in front of Tianyang, they were all existences that Tianyang could only contend against if he gave it his all. Now, Tianyang was going to fight against nine of them alone. Come! Tianyang laughed heartily as he charged forward with the all-heavens sword in his hand. At this moment, Green Lotus Sword Fairy moved. The sword in his hand slashed out lightly, seemingly without any aura, destroying all things in the world without causing any ripples in space. The sword light arrived in front of Tianyang. Boom! With the all-heavens sword in his hand, Tianyang used all his strength to block the sword. At this moment, the ancient god of lightning disappeared from where he stood. His face seemed to be fixed on that ferocious expression. With boundless killing intent, he raised his giant hammer and smashed it towards Tianyang. Damn it! Sky Extreme Sword Art, Fourth Sword Firmament. Tianyang, who had used all his strength to block Green Lotus Sword Fairy's sword, naturally couldn't react in time. He hurriedly attacked with his sword. However, this sword was instantly destroyed by the ancient god of lightning's tyrannical hammer. Tianyang used his myriad steps movement technique to dodge the hammer. However, the bolts of lightning were like sinister vipers that ruthlessly rushed into his body. Ancestral Dragon Body. Tianyang snorted coldly as 108 ancestral dragon marks bloomed. Boundless dragon power erupted, resisting the ancient god of lightning's lightning. In the next moment, his body moved and repelled the bolts of lightning. Immediately after, Tianyang used the Void Step secret technique and arrived in front of the half-dragon sovereign. Tianyang was a pure-blooded human, but the ancestral dragon bloodline in his body was incomparably tyrannical. Although the half-dragon sovereign was powerful, his dragon race bloodline was only the ancestral dragon bloodline. Furthermore, because he was a half-dragon, his bloodline was only half that of the Tianyang. The half-dragon supremacy was the easiest target to deal with. Dragon Emperor Divine Fist, 10,000 dragons slaughtering gods. Tianyang roared as the power of the ancestral dragon erupted. Half-Dragon Sovereign didn't expect that Tianyang would actually give up on fighting Green Lotus Sword Immortal and Lightning Ancient God and directly attack him. Immediately, he circulated his dragon force, wanting to resist. However, Tianyang instantly unleashed his ancestral dragon might and forced the half-dragon supremacy's dragon power back into his body. That fist also landed on the half-dragon sovereign's body. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion resounded. The half-dragon sovereign spurted out a mouthful of blood as his body was sent flying by Tianyang. However, the giant dragon coiling around his body had also weakened the power of the Dragon Emperor's divine fist. Otherwise, this punch alone would be enough to end the half-dragon sovereign's life. At this moment, Green Lotus Sword Immortal and Lightning Ancient God attacked once again. There was also the raging Inferno Battle Soul that was covered in flames and the Firmament Battle Emperor that had a boundless aura. The four great emperors attacked at the same time, blocking Tianyang on the spot. Four great emperors? However, even if they are great emperors, they won't be able to do anything to me so easily. Tianyang coldly snorted as he released his Sage Realm Sword Dao. Sage Martial, 10,000 swords returned to origin. A half-saint martial technique that was comparable to the first move of an immemorial mystique was unleashed. However, the four great emperors weren't weak at all. Green Lotus Sword Immortal slashed out with his sword, causing green lotuses to bloom. It was also an immemorial mystique. The Lightning Ancient God raised his giant hammer that was surrounded by lightning and ruthlessly smashed down. Even if it was purely the power of his physical body and lightning, it was still comparable to an ordinary high-grade heaven-class martial technique. The raging Inferno Battle Soul spat out blazing flames as if it wanted to burn the heavens, causing the surrounding temperature to rise by a lot. As for the Firmament Battle Emperor, He was the strongest. He punched out with the power of heaven and earth, as if he wanted to shatter the heavens and make the stars explode. An unparalleled emperor aura erupted. Tianyong could tell at a glance that the firmament battle emperor was the strongest among the 9 great emperors. The punch that he used now was also a half step away from Wu Zun's peak emperor technique. Boom! The 10,000 swords returned to origin collided with the attacks of the 4 great emperors. Instantly, the heavens were shattered and everything was destroyed. Everything around him seemed to have turned into the most powerful bomb in the world and began to explode wildly. The expressions of the old Dragon King and the others changed drastically. They didn't dare to stay in the same place anymore. They immediately rushed to the bottom of Tianyong and led the countless mortals away into the distance. The collision between Tianyong and the 9 great emperors was too terrifying. Even though they had reached the pinnacle of this world, they were still unable to watch this battle. They weren't even qualified to watch the battle. Puff! Finally, Tianyong was injured. Although the 10,000 swords return to origin was powerful, the attacks of the 4 great emperors were not ordinary either. In an instant, Tianyong vomited blood and was sent flying. However, Tianyong still wielded the all-heaven sword. His left hand clenched into a fist and punched out. The sword was like a shooting star, and it blasted the green lotus sword immortal back. The punch was like the sun in the sky, illuminating everything. This punch of the Dragon Emperor's divine fist had the power to kill gods. The ancient god of thunder was instantly sent flying with heavy injuries. 9 steps of death. His immortal bloodline awakened. Tianyong instantly took 9 steps, and the 9 layers of death aura overlapped as he slashed out. Divine martial, heaven and earth perforation. The sword that had destroyed the shadow of the great Lord of Heaven appeared once again. The ancient god of thunder was only half step away from Wu Zun's peak. He couldn't resist at all and was directly killed by this sword. Only a trace of origin source was left, which was devoured by Tianyong. But at this time, the remaining 8 great emperors also attacked. Punches, palms, swords, and spiritual attacks. Wave after wave of attacks slammed into Tianyong's body. Puff! Tianyong vomited blood. His muscles exploded and blood spurted out. At this time, the immortal bloodline's divine ability was used. The muscles that had just exploded were repaired again, and the surrounding lightning was also absorbed by the heavenly sun. This was the power of the heaven-devouring mystique skill. Cycle of life and death. Tianyong was bathed in blood. His body was dyed red as he charged at the green lotus sword immortal. The Saint Realm Sword Tao and the Tao of life and death merged perfectly. The green lotus sword immortal's expression didn't change, but the sword in his hand had a sense of urgency. Tianyong had used the heaven-devouring mystique skill. Even if it didn't reach Wu Zun's level, it was infinitely close to Wu Zun's level. He had raised his strength to Wu Zun's level. The green lotus sword immortal continuously slashed out powerful sword moves, but it was useless. He was killed by Tianyong's sword. At this time, Tianyong turned around and punched out. This punch contained the might of the Firmament Battle Emperor's punch and the terrifying power of the Dragon Emperor's divine fist. It landed on a half-dragon sovereign's body, killing him completely. At this time, the spiritual, soul, heavenly king attacked. In an instant, he released his spiritual power and charged at Tianyong. Playing with spiritual power in front of me, Tianyong snorted and released the 7 stars mystique skill. 5 stars were released and locked onto the spiritual, soul, heavenly king. Then a roar was heard. Star strangulation. Boom. The spiritual power that far surpassed the spiritual, soul, heavenly king turned into a chain of stars, binding the spiritual, soul, heavenly king. With a slight movement, he was strangled into nothingness. At this time, the raging flame war spirit attacked again. Tianyong's chest was also burned by this punch. This is the way to use spiritual fire? Sure. Tianyong spat out blood, but his expression did not change. The undying flame burned fiercely in his wounds. Not only did Tianyang not retreat, but he also learned the moves of the great emperors from this attack. Boom, boom, boom. The sun and moon may perish, but I will not perish. The heavens and earth may decay, but I will not perish. Tianyang became braver as he fought. He continued to learn the moves of the great emperors from the battle and turned them into his own. He continued to strengthen himself. He had comprehended the undying will. As long as his will remained, no one would be able to kill him. Finally, Tianyang held the all-heaven sword and used all his strength. He used all his trump cards and fought for 3 days and 3 nights. Even the Firmament Battle Emperor was killed by Tianyang. Tianyang was also heavily injured because of the bloody battle. When the Firmament Battle Emperor fell, Tianyang even had to stab the all-heaven sword into the ground to barely stand up. However, all of this was worth it. The insufferably arrogant and invincible primordial 9 emperors had been killed by Tianyang alone. The 9 emperors' origins that were preserved by the heavenly Tao had also been devoured by Tianyang alone. Including the Thunderfire Supreme Being, Tianyang had already taken the origins of 10 great emperors from the heavenly Tao. The primordial 9 emperors have finally died by my hands, Tianyang said. His body was covered in blood, but his eyes were still shining brightly. Now, break the heavens and earth, condense the primordial spirit. Chapter 906. Become Wu Zun. Tianyang roared. Immediately, the surrounding spiritual chi of heaven and earth began to surge like seawater being swallowed by a whirlpool. At this moment, Tianyang's sky-devouring secret technique was automatically dispelled. His cultivation had returned to the peak of the half-step Wu Zun. The surrounding spiritual chi of heaven and earth continued to surge at an unparalleled speed into Tianyang's endless spirit sea. A strange power descended from the thunderclouds and enveloped Tianyang. No matter how unwilling the heavenly Tao was, it could not overturn the rules of the great realm. Tianyang had survived Wu Zun's tribulation, the strongest Wu Zun's tribulation of the immemorial 9 emperors. The opportunities it brought were also unparalleled. That strange power was the essence of this great realm. Summoning the 9 emperor shadows had already consumed a lot of the great realm's power. Now that Tianyang had survived another heavenly tribulation, the heavenly Tao had no choice but to hand over the great realm's essence. Otherwise, if one violated the rules of the great realm, even the heavenly Tao would punish them. Compared to Tianyang's achievement of Wu Zun, it was even more terrifying. Wrapped in the great realm's essence, Tianyang's injuries began to heal rapidly. Previously, Tianyang had fought a bloody battle for 3 days and 3 nights before finally defeating the immemorial 9 emperors. However, he had also used up almost all of his life energy. Now, the great realm's essence had not only healed Tianyang's body, but also raised Tianyang's level of life. At this moment, Tianyang's physical body had become perfect and flawless. Even in other great realms, he would be an unparalleled existence. His true yuan was also recovering rapidly. It was even stronger than before. Of course, although his true yuan and physical body were recovering and strengthening, the most obvious strengthening was his soul. To be precise, it was his primordial spirit. The biggest difference between Wu Zun and the heavenly ascension realm was the difference between the soul and the primordial spirit. The soul was ethereal and hard to find. Even though Tianyang's soul power had reached the level of a martial honorable, it was extremely loose. If he had not cultivated the secret technique of 7 stars, he would not have been able to hurt anyone. As for the primordial spirit, it was a level stronger. It was more solid and more powerful. If one were to say that souls of the same level were like cotton, then the primordial spirit would be an incomparably hard hammer. 1 kilogram of cotton and 1 kilogram of iron were the same weight, but it was different to use them to hit someone. At this moment, Tianyang's soul power was rapidly solidifying under the catalysis of the world essence. Tianyang had already condensed half of his primordial spirit, and he also had Wu Zun's soul power. It didn't take much effort for him to condense it. However, the moment Tianyang was completely condensed, boom, The entire Tianshao Great World was in turmoil. Before reaching the Heavenly Ascension Realm, Tianyang had already raised his soul power to the level of Wuzun. After reaching the Heavenly Ascension Realm, it was naturally impossible for it not to increase. If Tianyang's soul power, when he was at the peak of the Half-Ascension Realm, was at the level of Wuzun's soul power, then Tianyang's soul power, when he was at the peak of the Half-Ascension Wuzun's soul power, was at the level of LV3 or even LV4 of Wuzun's soul power. The further one progressed, the greater the gap between each level. Tianyang's LV4 of Wuzun's, LV6 of Wuzun's, LV1 of Wuzun's, LV6 of Wuzun's, LV1. And the primordial spirit condensed by the peak of the half-ascension Wuzun's soul power was condensed by Wuzun's LV4 of Wuzun's soul power. This had never happened before in the history of the Tianshao Great World. After all, no one had been able to kill the 9 emperors of the Archean era during Wuzun's tribulation. Primordial spirit, condense. Tianyang opened his eyes and roared. The entire world shook. Central region, Northern Wilderness region, Southern Wilderness region, Western Euregion, Eastern Sea Dragon Emperor City, and every corner of Heaven Continent was enveloped by this primordial spirit power. South Sea, North Sea, East Sea, and West Sea. All living things in the Tianshao Great World, even if they did not cultivate or understand true Yuan, could clearly sense that this was a power that surpassed this world. The primordial spirit power. Tianyang condensed his primordial spirit very smoothly. It was as if the conditions were right, and Tianyang did not even need to put in much effort. With just a thought, the primordial spirit was formed. It was also at this moment that Tianyang surpassed his previous life and reached Wuzun's LV1. My name is Tianyang, the Tianji Sword Emperor. Tianyang opened his mouth. His calm voice was amplified by the primordial spirit power to the extreme and spread to the entire Tianshao Great World. At this moment, there was no need for him to hide. Hearing this, except for Ling Yuhan, who already knew, the 9-tailed demon emperor, the old dragon king, and some others who had already expected this, everyone's eyes widened. After thinking about it, they understood. Tianyang was such a monster. Apart from the mythical Tianji Sword Emperor from 10,000 years ago, who else could do this? Divine Sword Emperor, invincible throughout history. After a LV1 sea of Soul Realm Cultivator under Tianyang's feet roared, the entire world resounded with this slogan that had not been shouted for 3 years. Divine Sword Emperor, invincible throughout history. The entire Tianshao Great World erupted with never-before-heard shouts like landslides and tsunamis. At this moment, they all knew. Tianyang had passed Wuzun's tribulation, which meant that his time in this world was not long. The Tianshao Great World barrier was almost complete. The highest limit in the world was the peak of LV9 reaching Heaven Realm. Once one broke through to Wuzun's LV1, the Tianshao Great World would automatically produce a repulsive force. No matter how strong Tianyang was at this moment, it was impossible for him to resist the repulsive force from the world. What's more, even if Tianyang could stay, he would not. Everyone knew that a peerless genius like Tianyang could not waste his time in this world no matter what. Their stage was the myriad heavens and realms. Divine Sword Emperor, invincible throughout history. This time, everyone shouted with unswerving loyalty. Tianyang had just recovered from the state of breakthrough when he felt the repulsive force from the world from all directions. However, after condensing his primordial spirit, Tianyang's primordial spirit power even broke through a realm and reached Wuzun's LV5. He could easily withstand the repulsive force. However, the repulsive force would become stronger the longer he delayed. It's time to see this world. Tianyang suddenly smiled and disappeared on the spot. Central region. At this moment, the central region was no longer as glorious as it was before the demon catastrophe. The blood sea almost devoured all the spiritual chi of heaven and earth wherever it passed. Even if Tianyang swallowed the blood sea and released some, it could only be used for cultivation. It was impossible to recover to its former state unless it had thousands of years. Tianyang came to the central region and took a look at the former holy land of martial arts. At this moment, those holy lands of martial arts had been corroded by the Blood Sea and were no longer in their original state. Then, Tianyang's figure flashed. In the blink of an eye, he came to Sword Star City thousands of miles away. The big pit left by All Heaven's sword was still there. Star's Swordplay Sect. At this moment, the Star's Swordplay Sect had already moved to the northern wilderness region. This place was just a ruin. Tianyang looked at the ruins on the original site of the Star's Swordplay Sect 10,000 years ago, smiled slightly, and disappeared. Chapter 907. East Sea. The current Dragon Emperor city was similar to the central region. It had just recovered. However, it seemed that all the major clans were used to living in Dragon Emperor City. Even though it had only been 3 years since the demon calamity, there were still people from various clans in Dragon Emperor City. Compared to the human clan in the central region, it was much livelier. It seems that the dragon clan has recovered well. Tianyang smiled. He flew past the Dragon Emperor City and stepped onto the surface of the East Sea. Then, his entire body disappeared into the sea without a sound. There was no splash at all. In Dragon Emperor City, the girl who was practicing swordsmanship suddenly put away her sword. She raised her head and looked into the distance, where Tianyang had disappeared. Tianyang had accepted a disciple on behalf of his master, Jiang Shuer, who had a pure, icy heaven spiritual body. Shuer, what's wrong? Jiang Han, who was also practicing hard, looked over in confusion. Lord Tianyang should have finished his calamity tribulation. Shuer, don't you want to go and take a look? Jiang Han said. Jiang Han had always been grateful to Tianyang, who had saved them from the Rock Clan. Hearing this, Jiang Shuer shook her head and revealed a mysterious smile. No need. I've already seen him. Then, she activated the true ice spiritual technique and practiced even harder than before. Hearing this, Jiang Han was confused. East Sea Dragon Palace. If there was a martial holy land that was the least damaged by the Blood Sea, it was undoubtedly the East Sea Dragon Palace. The East Sea Dragon Palace had a protective formation left by Dragon Emperor Zhenwu, which was enough to resist the Blood Sea. Moreover, Tianyang had been here since the beginning of his calamity tribulation. The powerful calamity, lightning, greatly hindered the Blood Sea from devouring the East Sea Dragon Palace. Therefore, the East Sea Dragon Palace was almost undamaged. Of course, many of the Dragon Clan's clansmen had died in the Blood Sea. However, the East Sea Dragon Palace was the best compared to the other holy lands where even the Blessed Enclave had disappeared. After the great calamity of the Devil race was over and the Blood Sea was devoured by Tianyang, the dragon race immediately moved back to the East Sea Dragon Palace. With the old Dragon King presiding over it, the Eastern Sea Dragon Palace could become the new ancient shrine in a few hundred years or less. Of course, with the deterrence of the Northern Wilderness region and the Heaven Continent Alliance, it was impossible for the East Sea Dragon Palace to be as domineering as the ancient shrine. The Dragon Clan has recovered quite well in the past 3 years. Tianyang looked at the Dragon Clan's clansmen who were cultivating hard in the East Sea Dragon Palace and said with a smile, after 3 years, Long Taiji had also reached the reaching heaven state and became the Dragon King. With the support of the old Dragon King, he managed the East Sea Dragon Palace well. Tianyang only greeted Long Taiji and left. At this moment, the old Dragon King, who was still on his way to the East Sea Dragon Palace, suddenly had a thought and took out his communication token. Looking at the message, the old Dragon King smiled bitterly. The Sword Emperor. No, Tianyang Wuzun is indeed powerful. I haven't even finished my journey, and he has already left after seeing my hometown. Firmament Territory, Night Vault City, Sky Blue College. Tianyang had stayed here for more than a year. Sky Blue College had changed a lot. In the past, Sky Blue College occupied half of the city. Now, because Tianyang had stayed here before, it occupied an area the size of an entire city. At the same time, because of Tianyang, many forces were very polite to Sky Blue College. In the Great Calamity 3 years ago, Sky Blue College had retreated in time and preserved most of its strength. Now, the Sky Blue Academy was already the strongest academy in the mainland. Every year, the students who graduated from this academy were all famous existences. Tianyang smiled and went to the entrance of Sky Blue College. If you don't have the Sky Blue College emblem, please go back. This year's enrollment for Sky Blue College has ended. At the entrance, a young girl glanced at Tianyang and said casually, Sky Blue College was very powerful now. Many people wanted to sneak in every day, but no one could enter without the Sky Blue College emblem. The young girl had sent away many people like this. I'm not here to study. Tianyang smiled and said. Hearing this, the young girl's expression did not change. This excuse is new, but many people use it. Please go back. Tianyang's face had become very handsome after the continuous improvement of his cultivation. He had also become much younger after absorbing a large amount of the world's essence. He was already 25 years old, but he looked like he was 17 or 18. Hearing this, Tianyang chuckled. It's fine. Just tell Zhou Ling that Tianyang is here to visit. After that, Tianyang drifted away. The former Sky Blue Sword sect and the current Sky Blue College were both doing well. Tianyang only needed to take a look. However, the young girl was still mumbling. Find the dean? Is it so easy to find the dean? Where is he? The young girl looked up and found that Tianyang's figure had disappeared. Whoosh! An air-piercing sound suddenly came from inside Sky Blue College. In the next moment, a young girl who looked to be only 5 or 6 meters tall with a delicate face and emitted a 9th-level C of Soul Realm aura instantly arrived at the entrance. Looking at the young girl, he asked anxiously, Did someone come just now? Hearing this, the young girl was stunned. Dean, why are you here? Oh, right, a strange person came just now. He's called Tianyang. Hearing this, the petite girl was stunned on the spot. She looked at the blue sky and suddenly smiled. It's good that you're here. Zhou Ling mumbled. The young girl was already stunned. Since Zhou Ling took over Qian Shengxian's position as dean 2 years ago, she had never seen the usually violent and cold dean reveal such an expression. Along the way, Tianyang used Wu Zun's power. In just a few seconds, he could travel 10,000 miles through space and time. He met countless old friends and acquaintances. Some greeted them, and some left after a glance. There were too many places in the Sky Continent that he was reluctant to part with. In the end, Tianyang reached the northernmost part of the continent, Northern Wilderness Region. Due to the demonic calamity, the Northern Wilderness Region, which was looked down upon by countless people and had the poorest heaven and earth spiritual qi, had now become the center of the continent. Due to the formation that Tianyang set up to attract the heaven and earth spiritual qi, the Northern Wilderness Region's heaven and earth spiritual qi could almost rival that of the other 2,000 regions combined. At the same time, the Northern Wilderness Region was also the headquarters of the Sky Continent Alliance. Just as Tianyang stepped into the Northern Wilderness Region, he felt the space in front of him suddenly distort. Then, from the distorted space, a figure suddenly flew out. She plunged into Tianyang's arms. Her long, black hair was draped over her shoulders, and there were tears on her perfect face. Chapter 908. You're finally back. Ling Yuhan fell into Tianyang's arms with tears in her eyes. Seeing this, Tianyang opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. He could only raise his head and pat Ling Yuhan's head. Ever since Tianyang had reached the reaching heaven state, he had been fighting for Heaven Continent all the time. Even though Ling Yuhan was in the Heaven Continent Alliance army, they didn't have much time to see each other, especially during the 3 years after Tianyang killed the Demon Emperor, swallowed the Blood Sea, and defeated Wu Zun. Crossing the Blood Sea was actually very dangerous. The Blood Sea was very corrosive. Ordinary cultivators would be instantly corroded into blood if they fell into it. Even reaching Heaven State elites wouldn't dare to say that they could fly from the northern wilderness to the central region. After all, the Blood Sea covered the entire continent, and there was no place to stay. It was also obstructed by strong resentment and demonic qi. If they risked their lives, they might be able to do it, but it was almost impossible to return. Therefore, even though Ling Yuhan wanted to go to the central region to see Tianyang, she was stopped by the nine-tailed demon empress. The nine-tailed fox clan only had one god spirit bloodline in so many years. Ling Yuhan dared, but the nine-tailed demon empress didn't. No matter how bad their relationship was, Ling Yuhan was still the nine-tailed demon empress daughter. Moreover, Tianyang was just cultivating. He wasn't dead. If they wanted to see each other, it would be the same in a few years. After all, the nine-tailed demon empress was more than 1,000 years old. She didn't understand a girl's heart at all. She stopped her daughter outside the house for 3 years. Ling Yuhan had been cultivating hard ever since she went to the earthly emperor's small world. Why? It was all for Tianyang. In order to keep up with Tianyang's footsteps and not be a burden to Tianyang, she wanted to fight side by side with Tianyang. Therefore, Ling Yuhan could only stimulate her talent. The nine-tailed moon fox bloodline was a god spirit bloodline with unlimited potential. Therefore, in a 1-year promise, Ling Yuhan went to the nine-tailed fox clan's library almost every day, hoping to find a way to activate the nine-tailed moon fox bloodline. There wasn't any in the library, but there was in the inherited memory. Ling Yuhan followed the method in the inherited memory, which was enough to make any demon race's unbearable pain. At the same time, he also walked into the most famous Arctic impasse of the demon clan to activate the nine nether saint body, so that she could keep up with Tianyang's footsteps in a short period of time. That was why he was able to suppress all the other powerful cultivators in the tomb of the Dragon King. However, as time, his battle demon greats. In the true martial dragon palace, Ling Yuhan stayed in the Earth Emperor's spiritual herb garden the whole time. She could only watch silently as Tianyang fought against strong enemies and tried his best to kill the demon emperor's doppelganger. That feeling of powerlessness was like a sharp steel needle, piercing her heart. Therefore, when Tianyang went through the tribulation, Ling Yuhan directly entered the Heaven Continent Alliance and used all the magical power she could to improve herself. At the same time, she took command of the army and led the demon race soldiers to kill wave after wave of demon race attacks. In the end, when Tianyang finished his tribulation, Ling Yuhan also had great prestige among the demon race soldiers. At the same time, she also had the strength of LV1 Heaven Ascension Realm. In half a year, she stepped from the peak of LV9C of Soul Realm to LV1 Heaven Ascension Realm. Although Ling Yuhan's talent was terrifying and could be said to be the strongest in the history of the demon race, even demon ancestor Wan Xing might not be a match for her. But it was enough to shock the world. And Ling Yuhan's heavenly tribulation was also extremely huge. Although it was covered by Tianyang's heavenly tribulation that enveloped the world, it was still far beyond Emperor Shirsu. At that time, Ling Yuhan directly killed her way into the depths of the Blood Sea, causing her heavenly tribulation that was enough to envelop the entire central part of the continent and a part of the northern part to bombard the Blood Sea. Forcefully, with the strength of one person, she stopped the Blood Sea's advance. However, when Tianyang stepped out of the Dragon Emperor's tomb and returned from his tribulation, only then did Ling Yuhan realize. When she was able to fight against the Demon King, Tianyang had already killed hundreds of Demon Kings and faced the Demon Emperor. When she commanded the army and killed countless enemies, Tianyang had already controlled the formation to kill the Demon King and save the army from the fire and water. She chased with all her might, but in the end, she could only find that the distance between her and Tianyang was getting bigger and bigger. Therefore, when Ling Yuhan saw Tianyang again after several years, she cried so loudly, "I'm sorry." Tianyang touched Ling Yuhan's head and sighed. Over the years, he really owed Ling Yuhan too much. "It's okay." Ling Yuhan suddenly raised her head and smiled through her tears. She hugged Tianyang tightly, then ran her true Yuan and soared into the sky. She flew toward the Blizzard State, the Tian family, the house that no one had lived in for many years but was always cleaned. Tianyang let Ling Yuhan lead him until they stepped into the door and closed the door with a bang. Only then did he speak. "Yuhan, this is—" Tianyang was puzzled, but before he could finish, he felt his lips were blocked. Then, their lips separated. Ling Yuhan raised her head, and looked at Tianyang with eyes as clear as ice. "Master, I like you." Late at night. The next day, early morning, Tianyang stood in the old mountain gate of the soaring cloud sect, in the house he used to live in. Now, the house was an empty space. The soaring cloud sect had suffered many disasters. Naturally, the house of an outer disciple could not be restored. It's been 10 years. Tianyang stood there, looked at the sky, and sighed. Since he was reborn here 10 years ago, he had done many great things on the continent 10,000 years later. 10 years ago, he was still in the soaring cloud sect, rising up with the title of one of the top 3 trash in the outer sect. 10 years later, he was the only legend in the Tianshao great world in tens of thousands of years, Wu Zun, who killed the demon emperor and quelled the demonic tribulation. Yes, it's been 10 years. Beside him, Ling Yuhan changed into a fresh robe that Tianyang liked and smiled sweetly. It had been 10 years since Ling Yuhan and Tianyang met in the soaring cloud sect and became his disciple. The relationship between the two of them had changed from that of fellow disciples who did not know each other to that of master and disciple, and now to cultivation companions. "You little girl, how dare you sneak attack your master?" "Really?" Tianyang rubbed Ling Yuhan's head hard and then looked at the sky. Wu Zun's 5th-tier primordial spirit power gathered in his eyes. In the next moment, Tianyang seemed to see outside the world barrier. It was a world that was as bright as the stars in the darkness. Behind him and Ling Yuhan, Yi Zhanling, who had recovered his strength and broken through to the Dao Fire realm. The former soaring cloud sect masterly Ling Yun, the current monarch of the Arctic nation, Princess Ling Ling Flying Sword, Zhou Ling Qian Shengqian, Zhou Tong, Jun Aoyang, Jun Tian, Jun Tianyi, Huo Lingri, Tang Feng Ling, Long Taiji, Jiang Shuer, Jiang Han, the old Dragon King, Shikai Tian, Li Tianshun, and all the Ascension realm elites of the continent were here. "I told you that I don't want to make a big fuss when I leave." Tianyang turned around and chuckled. In the next moment, Tianyang stretched out his hand and squeezed hard. Boom! Thousands of miles of the sky. Space exploded. The world barrier was open. At this moment, the countless elites behind Tianyang all knelt on one knee and looked at Tianyang. Tianyang smiled and turned around, ready to step through the world barrier. At this moment, Ling Yuhan suddenly mustered her courage and took a step forward. Her lips lightly touched Tianyang's forehead. "Master, take care." Tears welled up in Ling Yuhan's eyes as he spoke. At this moment, countless elites shouted in unison, "Farewell, Lord Tianyang." Hearing this, Tianyang smiled and rose into the air, looking at the heaven continent. "Everyone take care." At this moment, all the living beings on the continent shouted at the same time. Chapter 909. In the vast universe, there was an endless galaxy. Legend had it that every star in the sky was a great world. Among them, the brightest star was the center of countless great worlds. Tianyang had broken through the world barrier and was using the Tianshao Great World's repulsive force to travel in the galaxy. Sure enough, the firmament world is also a star. Tianyang stepped on the stars and walked in the universe. He turned around and looked at the huge world. Tianshao Great World looked ordinary. Almost half of the land was covered by blue oceans. On the land, one could occasionally see tiny buildings. Countless living beings were resting on them. Tianshao Great World is such a huge star, but it can't accommodate a Wu Zun elite. I wonder how many worlds can accommodate the power of a Wu Zun or even a saint. Tianyang shook his head and stepped into the galaxy. With Wu Zun's Tier 1 cultivation, it was easy for him to travel in the galaxy. He was different from Dragon Emperor Jin Wu, who could only travel in the nearby worlds and could barely move in the galaxy. Tianyang had truly stepped into the universe with his physical body. Tianyang walked in the galaxy and passed by one star after another. Some were only as big as the northern wilderness. They were barren and devoid of life. There was no heaven and earth spiritual chi. Some were as big as Tianshao Great World, but they couldn't accommodate a Wu Zun elite either. Tianyang wanted to go to a world that could make his martial path even brighter. Finally, after strolling through the galaxy for an unknown amount of time, Tianyang arrived outside an incomparably large star world. From afar, this star was not even the size of a fingertip. However, upon closer inspection, one could see that the star was as small as a fingertip. However, it was dozens of times bigger than the Tianxiao Great World. Even through the world barrier, Tianyang could feel the abundant heaven and earth spiritual qi inside. This is it. Tianyang smiled and did not move forward. Wu Zun's crossing of the Milky Way also had certain restrictions. He did not know the situation of Crimson Dragon Wu Zun and Primordial Emperor Shirshu, but they could probably only wander around the periphery of Tianxiao Great World. One star after another moved forward. As for Tianyang, he had several times more true essence cultivation than Crimson Dragon Wu Zun and Primordial Emperor Shirshu. Naturally, he could go further than them. At this moment, outside of this world, Tianyang's true essence was almost exhausted. Tianyang didn't hesitate any longer. He took out the all-heaven sword and released sword light that filled the sky. Open! Tianyang let out a furious roar. The all-heaven sword in his hand emitted wisps of sacred light. Boom! A crack was torn open in the world barrier. Tianyang leaped into the crack. In the next moment, Tianyang felt his surroundings being covered by spatial turbulence. His expression changed slightly. Just as he was about to activate the power of his primordial spirit to resist, he was struck by the spatial turbulence and lost consciousness. He fell into the great world. Bang! 8,000 miles outside of Jiangbei City in the East Sea state of the Xintian Great World. In the wilderness, a dazzling beam of Xinguang suddenly flashed in the sky and fell down. I didn't expect the Great World's spatial barrier to be completely different from the Tianxiao Great World. It's formed by spatial turbulence. If I had known, I would have rested in a nearby lesser world for a while before stepping into this great world. Tianyang was covered in blood, and his muscles were covered in wounds. His breathing was weak. The all-heavens sword in his hand flickered with the sacred light of Sword Dao, but it was much dimmer. It was obvious that he had been severely injured during his journey through the Great World. No one in the Tianxiao Great World can snatch this all-heaven sword from me. However, all-heaven sword is a sacred weapon after all. This Great World definitely has a Wu Zun realm existence. With my current strength, I can't expose it. Tianyang rapidly fell from the sky. At the same time, countless thoughts flashed through his mind. He put away the all-heaven sword. In the next moment, Wu Zun's true yuan erupted. Boom! There was a sudden loud bang in the sky. Tianyang's falling speed was much slower. In the end, Tianyang smashed into the depths of a forest with a bang. Fortunately, I recovered some true yuan. Otherwise, with that speed, I would have been smashed into a meat patty. Tianyang muttered. However, this inexperienced Great World transmigration had also caused him serious injuries. My Dantian is almost half damaged. I can't use at least 70% of my true yuan. My meridians are fine. Only a few places are damaged. However, my physical body has recovered from both internal and external injuries. Tianyang held his breath and looked inside himself. He couldn't help but sigh when he saw the wretched state of his body. Spatial turbulence, that was no ordinary thing. Ordinary spatial turbulence could easily cut open a heavenly ascension realm cultivator's body. The cuts were so deep that the bones could be seen. And the spatial turbulence of the Great World's world barrier was even more terrifying. If not for the strength of Tianyang's ancestral dragon body and the protection of his primordial spirit at the critical moment, he would probably have been crippled by now. Fortunately, the damage to my primordial spirit and physical strength isn't great. I can't use my true yuan, but with my primordial spirit and physical strength, I don't need to be afraid of heavenly ascension realm cultivators in the 7th or 8th tier. Tianyang sighed softly. Fortunately, it wasn't to the point where he couldn't be saved. With his alchemy skills as the supreme alchemist of the Tianxiao Great World, as long as he retained his fighting strength, there was hope for him to recover. There were countless pill recipes recorded in the myriad pill tome. Tianyang only needed time to recover to the Tianyang Wu Zun who had shaken the Tianshao great world. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth here is extremely abundant. Even the holy lands of martial arts in the Tianshao great world can't compare. Tianyang took a deep breath of the fresh air and chuckled. With each breath, he felt as if a huge amount of spiritual qi of heaven and earth entered his body. Every cell in his body was like a hungry wolf, madly devouring the spiritual qi. It was as if the Tianshao great world he'd been in was some barren land that could starve him to death. The great world is indeed different. Tianyang smiled faintly and stood up. With the strength of a 7th or 8th tier heavenly ascension realm cultivator, he couldn't be considered a tyrant, but it was more than enough to protect himself. There seems to be someone fighting in the distance. That's right. I've just arrived here, so I need some people to understand this world. Tianyang's primordial spirit spread out. Every movement within 10,000 miles was clearly seen by Tianyang. The battle taking place dozens of miles away naturally couldn't escape his senses. Tianyang smiled and disappeared from where he stood. Little one, hurry up and run. Why would a high-level magical beast like the Gale tiger appear in the outskirts of the prairie forest? I'll hold on here. Hurry back to the clan and get reinforcements. An anxious roar came from a young man who looked to be in his 20s or 30s. In front of him was a huge green tiger that walked with a gust of wind. It bared its fangs and stared fixedly at the young man. Hearing this, the girl behind the young man trembled. Brother Chun, oh no, he's here. The young man was just about to say something when his expression suddenly changed. He drew the broadsword on his back and slashed at the huge green tiger. Bang! The tiger claw and the broadsword collided. The huge green tiger didn't move, but the young man spat out blood and retreated a few steps. It was too strong. The overlord of the prairie forest was not something a small cultivator like him could stop. Brother Chung. The girl saw this and immediately shouted anxiously. At this moment, the huge green tiger seemed to have found a soft persimmon. It actually gave up on the young man and pounced towards the girl. Little one, seeing this, the young man's eyes were about to split open. He ignored his serious injuries and charged towards the huge green tiger. Bastard, I'll kill you. Boom! The huge green tiger casually slapped, and the young man was immediately sent flying by a violent wave of air. At this moment, the huge tiger's huge vertical pupils flashed with a bloody, ferocious look. Looking at the girl who was so frightened that she couldn't move, it raised its tiger claw. The girl closed her eyes. Her face was filled with despair as she waited for death to come. However, after a few minutes, the tiger claw still didn't tear her apart. She opened her eyes in confusion and saw the young man's dumbfounded expression. Do you need help? A voice came from the sky. The girl looked up and saw a handsome young man who was covered in blood walking through the air. He was like a god. Chapter 9:10. Seeing Tianyang descend from the sky like a god and walk toward her step by step, the girl was stunned. Due to absorbing the 10 Emperor's origin mark and devouring a large amount of Tianshao Great World's essence, Tianyang was no longer the ordinary and delicate person he was before. Although Tianyang's general outline was still the same as before, his face was more delicate and fair. Although he was much taller than a 17 or 18-year-old, his face was like a 17-year-old boy's. Ordinary people might not be able to achieve this level of tribulation. However, Tianyang had only cultivated for 10 years since his rebirth. He broke through to the Wuzun realm at the age of 25. In the boundless galaxy, there was probably no one who could compare to Tianyang. This also led to the fact that ordinary people would at most become more handsome after undergoing tribulation, but Tianyang was handsome and young. The young man at the side was also dumbfounded. This boy looked 10 years younger than him, but he could walk in the air? He was at least in the sea of spirit realm. Such a young boy is in the sea of spirit realm. The young man's heart was in turmoil. At this moment, Tianyang turned his head and looked at the giant green tiger that he had casually bound. The giant tiger was currently bound by the astral chain that Tianyang had casually released, and it could not move at all. After Tianyang advanced to the Wuzun realm, his sixth star, the Mizar star, was almost condensed. At this moment, he was already at the peak of the five-star secret technique. In addition, condensing a primordial spirit was much stronger than soul power. Wouldn't it be easy for him to casually release an astral chain to bind the giant green tiger that was at most at the peak of the third heaven of Tao Fire Realm? No matter how the giant green tiger struggled, it could not break free from Tianyang's astral chain. The girl was completely stunned. The grassy forest was 5,000 miles away from the town they were in. The heaven and earth spirit chi here was also very sparse. Generally speaking, even if it was to hunt magical beasts, they would not come here. The two of them had traveled thousands of miles to come here because they were not strong enough and wanted to pick the herbs. Who would have thought that they would encounter a magical beast at the level of the Gale tiger? He thought that he would die under the tiger's claws, but in the end, another handsome young man appeared out of nowhere and casually captured the giant tiger. This was too dreamy. Do you need help? Tianyang did not speak. Instead, he used his primordial spirit to communicate with the siblings. He didn't know how to speak the language of this world. It would be bad if he rashly opened his mouth and spoke a bunch of bird language, and these siblings who still looked like humans mistook him for a magical beast. Thank you for saving my life, my lord. The young man didn't notice the voice transmission, and he immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed in gratitude. If not for Tianyang's help, his sister would have died under the tiger's claws, and he would have died as well. Then, his father's illness would never be healed. Tianyang didn't understand what they were saying. He directly said, I have been in seclusion here for 1,000 years. I don't know what era it is now. Who can tell me? Hearing this, the two siblings were stunned. Seclusion for 1,000 years. This young man, who looked to be only 17 or 18 years old, was already a 1,000-year-old monster. My lord, if you say yes, can we kill this Galewind tiger first? The young man said, and he even looked at the Gale tiger that was restrained by the astral chain and could not move. Seeing this, although Tianyang didn't understand, he understood what they meant and waved his hand. The chain on the Gale tiger's body was immediately removed. At this moment, Tianyang flashed. He directly arrived on top of the Gale tiger. He threw a punch. Boom! The Gale tiger's head was instantly smashed. The tiger was furious and was about to counterattack. At this moment, Tianyang snorted coldly, and Wuzun Stage 1 pressure exploded. Instantly, the tiger's body seemed to be pressed down by a heavy object and sank directly into the ground. The tiger's vertical pupils suddenly flashed with fear. This power was too terrifying. The instincts of wild beasts were much stronger than ordinary humans. When it sensed Tianyang's strength and knew that he could kill it with a flick of his finger, the Gale tiger immediately lowered its proud head and whimpered a few times. Seeing this, the siblings were dumbfounded. That was the overlord of the grassland forest. An existence at the peak of the stage 3 Tao Fire Realm could make everything submit with a flip of his hand. Now, it had submitted to the hands of this young man. Tianyang directly leaped and landed on the Gale tiger's back. The Gale tiger whimpered, but did not resist. Although Tianyang said that he had been in closed-door cultivation for 1,000 years, the siblings did not really believe it. Now, they had to believe it even if they did not want to. All right, you can tell me now. Tianyang spoke. The power of his primordial spirit was extraordinary. At this moment, it spread out, and everything within a radius of 10,000 miles was seen through by him. Through all the books, words, and conversations of people within a radius of 10,000 miles, he had a preliminary understanding of this world's language. At this moment, when he spoke, although it was difficult to speak, the siblings could still understand. Although the siblings were puzzled, they continued to speak. My name is Chi Chung, and this is my sister, Chi Wan. The two of us came to the grassland forest to pick herbs. Chi Cheng's face was full of respect, afraid that he would say something wrong that would make the 1,000-year-old monster in front of him unhappy. However, for some reason, a shooting star suddenly flashed across the sky, and then a loud sound was heard. The magical beasts in the grassland forest went berserk. This Gale tiger was originally the overlord of the depths of the grassland forest, but it rushed out. If not for that, we would not have encountered such a magical beast while picking herbs in the periphery. Chi Chung said. Upon hearing that, Tianyang's expression became strange. The shooting star in the sky, wasn't that him? In other words, the magical beast riot in the grassland forest and the Gale tiger's escape were all because of him? Then where is this place 1,000 years later? Tianyang spoke, and this time he spoke much more fluently. Chi Chung said respectfully, "This is the East Sea state of the Xintian Great World, near Jiangbei City. We siblings live in a small town next to Jiangbei City." Hearing that, Tianyang immediately understood. So this place was called the Xintian Great World. As for the East Sea State and Jiangbei City, Tianyang could not be bothered with it. Now, he only wanted to recover his strength and then explore this world. The magical beast riot may have been caused by my awakening. I was wrong about that. These 2 healing elixirs are for you, Tianyang said casually. He opened his space bag, and 2 third-grade healing elixirs flew out. Seeing that, Chi Chung and Chi Wen were shocked. They looked at the healing elixirs in their hands and did not take them. Instead, they came in front of Tianyang and knelt on one knee. Chapter 9:11. I beg you, please save my father. Chi Chung and Chi Wen cried out loudly with tears and snot flowing down their faces. Seeing this, Tianyang frowned slightly. He raised his hands, and a gust of wind was emitted from his hands, lifting the siblings up. What's going on? Only then did Tianyang realize that the siblings were wrapped in a layer of death aura. The death chi was not thick, only a thin layer. However, the siblings were young and living people. Why would they have death chi on them? The only possibility was that there was a dying person in their family with death chi. We came to the prairie forest this time to pick herbs to cure my father. However, my father has been seriously ill for a long time. Picking herbs can only alleviate his illness but not cure it. My father is the pillar of our bloodline. If my father dies, our bloodline will be finished. Chi Chung cried. Hearing this, Tianyang said indifferently, "What does your family being finished have to do with me?" Tianyang could not be bothered to care about the trivial matters of Jiangbei City's border town. At this moment, he only wanted to refine pills to heal his injuries as soon as possible and recover Wu Zun's strength. He wanted to explore this world and avenge Shuntian Wu Zun as soon as possible. These 2 people and him were strangers. Tianyang only saved them because he wanted to know more about this world. How could they blame him? However, hearing this, Chi Chung was shocked. Only then did he recall. The person in front of him was not a soft-hearted 17 or 18-year-old youth. He was an old monster who had lived for more than 1,000 years. How could this old monster, who was at least at the 5th level of Sea of Soul Realm, be moved by his words? Thinking of this, Chi Chung sighed. Tianyang looked at Chi Chung and suddenly raised his eyebrows. "Why do you have the aura of the sky spirit grass on you?" Hearing this, Chi Chung was slightly stunned. Sky spirit grass? However, he immediately recalled. Wasn't the sky spirit grass the family treasure of his Chi family? As a member of the Chi family, he naturally had the aura of the sky spirit grass on him. "Senior, this is?" Chi Chung had a look of hesitation on his face. Why was this senior so temperamental? "You have the chi of the heavenly spirit grass on your body, which means that you have seen the heavenly spirit grass before. Coincidentally, I need it now. If you can find the heavenly spirit grass, I will save your father," Tianyang said. Chi Chung was still hesitating when couldn't help but agree. "Good. Thank you, senior." Chi Wen was only in her teens, about the same age as Tianyang. Seeing that Tianyang might agree, she immediately nodded. However, when Chi Chung saw this, he bitterly laughed. "Senior, I have indeed seen the sky soul grass before. However, that is the treasure of our Chi family. Even if you can save my father, I cannot give it to you. Although my father is the head of the family, he is only the head of the family. It is impossible for him to give the family treasure to an outsider. Chi Chung said bitterly. It seemed like his father wouldn't be able to escape this calamity. Hearing this, Tianyong raised his eyebrows. That was true. The heavenly spirit grass was the main ingredient of a healing pill that Tianyong had just found when he was flipping through the myriad pill tome. It was also useful for Wuzun. Such a medicinal herb was extremely rare even in the Tianshao Great World. Chi Chung and Chi Wen were the sons of the head of the family, but they were only at the first heaven of the Tao Fire Realm. Obviously, they were not from a large family. If a small family could have the heavenly spirit grass, it was no wonder that it was the treasure of the family. It's fine, Tianyong said. The pill that could be refined from the heavenly spirit grass was the most useful for Tianyong's current injuries. Now that there was a chance to get it, how could he miss it? Just bring me to the heavenly spirit grass. Hearing this, Chi Chung looked surprised. He had thought that this senior would immediately be angry after being rejected by him. He might even kill them directly. But now he had agreed. Thank you, senior, Chi Chung said respectfully. Jiangbei City was located in the East Sea State. It was the third largest city in the East Sea State. It connected the East Sea to the east and the Boorish Wilderness to the west. It was invincible in the north and south. It was like a giant dragon that lay dormant in the wilderness of the East Sea State. Tianyong had followed Chi Chung and Chi went all the way here and had a direct understanding of the Xintian Great World. First, it was huge. The land of the Xintian Great World only took up about 30% of the entire world, and the sea took up 70%. Even so, the land of the Xintian Great World was dozens of times larger than the land of Heaven Continent. The East Sea State was just one of the tens of thousands of states in the Xintian Great World, but it was 3 times the size of the Northern Wilderness region. This Jiangbei City was comparable to the entire Arctic nation with just one city. No wonder it's a great world that can accommodate saints. It's not something an ordinary world can compare to. Tianyong sighed as he rode on the Tempest Tiger. He realized that the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in the grassland forest, which was comparable to the Heaven Continent's holy land of martial arts, was just dregs in the Xintian Great World. The closer they got to Jiangbei City, the more abundant the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. In the end, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in the ancient shrine could not compare to this place. It was hard to imagine how abundant the spiritual chi of heaven and earth would be in the blessed land of the Xintian Great World's most powerful force. It's a pity that my Dantian is damaged, and I can't use the divine wilderness sky spirit technique to absorb the spiritual chi. Otherwise, just these few hours would be enough for me to improve a little. Tianyong sighed. At this moment, Chi Chung, who was leading the way, suddenly stopped and looked at the town not far away. Senior Yang, we're here. Tianyong nodded slightly and looked up at the town in front of him. He was too lazy to reveal his real name, so he casually made up the name of Yang Tian to fool the siblings. He would not stay here for long anyway. My Chi family is the most powerful family in this town. However, with my father's illness, my Chi family status plummeted. Now, there are already a few families that dare to show off above my Chi family. That's why we traveled thousands of miles to pick herbs in the vast plains forest. Chi Chung had a lonely look on his face. As the son of the patriarch, his talent was not bad, and he should have been in a good position. However, because of his father's illness, his status plummeted, and he had no choice but to take the risk in the forest 5,000 miles away. Tianyong nodded slightly when he heard this. Oh, isn't this our young master of the Chi family? Your damn father is about to die. Why are you still strolling around here? Aren't you afraid that your Chi family's elders will change your father's while you're away? At this moment, a sharp, sarcastic voice came from the side. Chi Cheng's expression changed drastically when he heard this. However, he could only lower his head and clench his fists so tightly that the veins on his fists bulged. He did not say a word and walked toward the town. Anyone could see the anger in Chi Cheng's heart. Tianyong raised his head and looked at the person. It was a young man about the same age as Chi Chung. However, this young man's strength was much stronger than Chi Cheng's. He had reached the second heaven of the Tao Fire Realm. When a young man saw Tianyang riding the Gale Tiger, he was stunned and his expression darkened. He didn't recognize the Gale Tiger under Tianyang, but he could make a guess. Tianyang might be a helper that Qi Cheng had invited. There were too many young experts in the Xintian Great World. Now that their family was on the verge of surpassing the Qi family, they could not let their guard down. Then, the young man immediately turned around and disappeared from Tianyang's sight. At this moment, Qi Cheng opened his mouth stiffly. "Thank you, Senior Yang. My Qi family is in front." Tianyang raised his head and saw a large courtyard. Chapter 9:12. Qi Family. According to the information obtained by Tianyang's Yuan spirit, this small town was called Cloud Town. As the largest family in Cloud Town, even if it had declined, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. The Qi family's mansion was still magnificent. Heavenly Sun sensed it for a moment and immediately sensed it. The strongest person in the Qi family was at the 8th level of the Sea of Souls realm. His aura was no more than 100 years old. Apart from that, there were 3 5th-level Sea of Souls realm, 1 3rd-level Sea of Souls realm, and dozens of Dao Fire realm. As for those below the Transformation realm, there were very few of them. It seems like the mysterious Sky Great World is indeed much stronger than the Tianxiao Great World. Tianyang muttered to himself. The best way to understand a world was to get in touch with the local cultivators. An 8th-level Sea of Souls realm cultivator in a remote place in the Sky Continent could be the overlord of 10 regions. Even among the major forces, they were not weak. However, in Mysterious Sky Great World, an 8th-level Sea of Souls realm cultivator was only the head of a family in a small town. Moreover, this 8th-level Sea of Souls realm cultivator was seriously ill. It seems like the Qi of Death on Qi Cheng and Qi when came from that 8th-level Sea of Souls realm cultivator. Tianyang's lips curled into a smile as he put the Gale Tiger into the Heaven Pagoda. He was not willing to let a low-level demonic beast like the Gale Tiger into the Earth Emperor's spiritual herb garden. Tianyang was growing extremely powerful herbs. If not for the fact that the Sky Spirit herb was so rare that even the Earth Emperor's spiritual herb garden did not have it, Tianyang would not have joined the Qi family. As for the infant soul fruit tree and Navagraha dragon flame tree in the garden, the infant soul fruit tree was still very attached to the land that had nurtured it for countless years. Therefore, it took root in the Earth Emperor's spiritual herb garden. As for the Navagraha dragon flame tree, it was placed in the northern wilderness region after Tianyang helped it to reach the 3rd level of the Ascension realm. With the Navagraha dragon flame tree in the northern wilderness region, even if there were experts who wanted to deal with the northern wilderness region, they would have to think twice. After all, the northern wilderness region not only had the 9-Yao dragon flame tree, which was at LV3 of the Heaven Ascension state, but also Sanguinati, who was at LV8 of the Heaven Ascension state. We're already so far away from the endless world. Why are you still thinking so much? Tianyang shook his head and threw away these distracting thoughts. He followed Qi Cheng, and Qi went into the Qi family. My humble abode is simple and crude. Please forgive me, Senior Yang. Seeing Tianyang shake his head, Qi Cheng was frightened and thought that Tianyang was dissatisfied with the Qi family. This was an old monster that had been in seclusion for 1,000 years and had regained its youth. Perhaps his strength was already on par with his father, the head of the Qi family, or even a notch higher, reaching the reaching heaven state. That kind of existence could destroy the Qi family and even the entire Cloud Town with a flip of his hand. Qi Cheng didn't want his kind intentions to backfire. Senior? Looks like our young lord has really lost his mind. He actually called a brat senior? Tianyang was just about to respond when he heard a mocking voice that was even sharper than before. Hearing that, Tianyang's expression didn't change, but Qi Cheng's face was completely gloomy. Qi Wu, don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you broke through to the 2nd firmament of the Dao Fire realm a few days earlier than me. This is Senior Yang, who has been in seclusion for 1,000 years and was invited by me to treat the head of the Qi family. He has regained his youth. Why aren't you apologizing? Qi Cheng growled. In the outside world, when facing an enemy, he chose to swallow his anger in order to not implicate his family. However, in the Qi family, he could retaliate. Senior Yang, who has been in seclusion for 1,000 years and regained his youth. Hearing that, the person who spoke was stunned. Then, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, he laughed hysterically. Ha ha ha! I almost couldn't breathe. Qi Cheng, is this the latest method you've developed to deal with me? I have to say, it's quite useful. Qi Wu laughed loudly. Tianyang glanced at him. Cultivation of the second firmament of the Tao fire realm. He wore a white robe similar to Qi Cheng's, with the Qi family emblem embroidered on his chest. His face was similar to Qi Cheng's. However, this person was slightly older than Qi Cheng. If Qi Cheng was 20 or 30 years old, then this Qi Wu was definitely 30 years old. Moreover, he's treating the head of the Qi family? Qi Wu laughed loudly and looked at Qi Cheng with a face full of mockery. Are you trying anything when you're sick? Being in seclusion for 1,000 years, he's at least an expert of the seventh firmament of the Sea of Soul Realm. Above the seventh firmament of the Sea of Soul Realm, or even the reaching Heaven Realm. At this moment, behind Qi Wu, an old man wearing a Taoist robe with a long beard spoke. That's right, at least a reaching Heaven Realm expert. Qi Cheng, what benefits do you have to make such an expert treat your father? Qi Wu sneered. Hearing that, Qi Cheng's face turned pale. Could he say that he had used the Qi family's treasure, the sky spirit grass? Not to mention the consequences of his words. Even if he did, Qi Wu wouldn't believe him. He, Qi Cheng, was only a young master who had lost his power. Even his father, the head of the Qi family, was seriously ill. What right did he have to decide the fate of the sky spirit grass? This kind of thing could be found out with a little investigation. No one would be fooled. This was also what Qi Cheng didn't understand. With Tianyang's strength, why would he agree to his request? However, although Qi Cheng didn't understand it himself, he couldn't lose to Qi Wu now. I have my ways. But you, the head of the Qi family, is seriously ill, and you're still making sarcastic remarks here. What are you trying to do? Qi Cheng sneered. Hearing that, Qi Wu was speechless. Then, he glanced at the old man behind him and sneered. This time, I brought the famous Master Gu from Jiangbei City to treat the head of the Qi family. He's much better than a youth who's been in seclusion for 1,000 years. Master Gu, don't you think so? Qi Wu said. Hearing that, the old man in the Taoist robe nodded. His malicious eyes glanced at Tianyang, and then revealed a trace of disdain. Young Master Qi Wu is right. That youth doesn't have any true Yuan aura. How can he be a 1,000-year-old monster? Even Master Gu said so. Qi Cheng, you'd better hurry up and beat the person beside you. Otherwise, your status in the eyes of the Grand Supreme Elder will drop again. Qi Wu sneered and brought Master Gu to the head of the Qi family. Qi Cheng wanted to say something, but seeing that Qi Wu had left, he could only turn around and apologize to Tianyang. Senior Yang, I'm sorry. Qi Wu didn't have the foresight. I hope that from now on, I'm only doing what I've been asked to do. Yang Tian still have this bit of credibility. I don't care about ants in the Tao Fire Realm. Tianyang said calmly. He was Wu Zun. If he was angry at such a person, he wouldn't be able to survive. That's good. Qi Cheng heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he brought Tianyang to the head of the Qi family. As for Tianyang, he used the power of his primordial spirit to sense his surroundings. Chapter 9:13. When Qi Cheng and Qi Wen brought Tianyang to the Patriarch's mansion, they were shocked to discover that more than a dozen people had already gathered in the Patriarch's mansion. Great Elder, Third Elder, Fourth Elder, why have you all come? Qi Cheng walked up and looked at the people who held important positions in the Qi family and asked in surprise. Hearing this, the elders waiting in front of the door turned around. Seeing Qi Cheng, they said indifferently, "You'll know when you go in." Although Qi Cheng was the Patriarch's son, his cultivation talent wasn't good. It could only be said to be ordinary. Thus, these elders didn't attach much importance to this young master who had almost no hope of succeeding the Patriarch's position. If it weren't for the fact that the Patriarch was still alive, they probably would have directly thrown Qi Cheng out. Okay, Qi Cheng wasn't dissatisfied. Ever since he revealed his ordinary talent, the elders had always looked down on him like this. Who is this? However, before Chi-Chung walked in, an elder made a move, releasing the aura of a fifth-level sea of Soul Realm. He looked at Tianyang with a cold expression. This! Chi-Chung cried out inwardly. He forgot to tell the elders about this matter. At this moment, the Chi family was in a critical moment. The patriarch was seriously ill, and the other Cloud Town clans were eyeing covetously. If he didn't say it in advance, that elder would definitely make a move. This is Senior Yang, the one my brother invited to treat my father. At this moment, Chi-Wen spoke. Facing the fifth-level sea of Soul Realm Third Elder, she wasn't afraid at all. Hearing this, the Third Elder immediately frowned. Senior Yang? The Third Elder snorted coldly. Seeing this, Chi-Cheng's expression changed greatly. In the family, the Third Elder's temper was famous for being fiery. His sister was used to having a straightforward temper since she was young, and it was still fine when she talked back to the Third Elder. But now it wasn't like before. Following their father's serious illness, their bloodline status was getting worse and worse. The elders were the best candidates for the patriarch's position. If they were caught, it wouldn't be good. Then go in, but the Third Elder snorted coldly. Hearing this, Chi-Chung heaved a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that Tianyang and the Third Elder would fight. Tianyang did not even make a move, but he was able to subdue the overlord of the vast plains forest, the Storm Tiger. Furthermore, he was able to make the Storm Tiger submit so easily. Clearly, he was not weak. As for the Third Elder, he was a famous fifth-level sea of Soul Realm warrior in Cloud Town. If they were to fight, regardless of the outcome, it would be a loss for the Chi family. Thank you, Third Elder, Chi-Chung hurriedly said. Then, he quickly led Tianyang and Chi went into the Patriarch's mansion. Seeing this, Tianyang shook his head. For the young master to reach such a stage was practically on par with him. Amazing. After all, it was someone else's family matter. Tianyang was too lazy to say anything. Let bygones be bygones. To the current Tianyang, a fifth-level sea of Soul Realm Spirit King was truly no different from an ant. He stepped into the Patriarch's residence. Tianyang's brows furrowed. He could sense it. In the entire Chi family, apart from the eighth-level sea of Soul Realm, the most powerful aura was here. Moreover, there were also strands of sinister and terrifying death Chi coiling around here. To Tianyang's ancestral dragon body, it was naturally harmless. However, to a sea of Soul Realm warrior, it was a fatal poison. Not only is the Chi family's family head terminally ill, he might even die at any moment. Tianyang shook his head and walked inside. Patriarch, according to my opinion, we should first use our Gu family's ancestral needle technique to force out the death Chi in your body. Then we can slowly work on it. Illness comes like a landslide and disappears like silk. This cannot be rushed. At this moment, a somewhat familiar voice was heard. Hearing this, Tianyang's eyes focused. Chi-Ching also seemed to have thought of something. He immediately opened the door and rushed in. Father, Chi-Chang shouted. Looking at the sickbed, where the death Chi coiled around the man who was already as thin as a match, tears immediately gushed out. How many days had it been since they left? His father, who could still walk before, had already become like this. Chi-Wen's face was also covered in tears as she knelt beside the man's bed. Chung-er-wana, didn't you go to the grassland forest to train? At this moment, hearing this loud shout, the weak man on the bed also opened his eyes. Looking at Chi-Chung and Chi-Wen, his face revealed a trace of kindness. Don't come near me. I'm now covered in death Chi. It won't be good if you get infected. The weak man smiled. At this moment, a cold laugh was heard. Yes, Master Gu is treating the Patriarch. Now that you've rushed over and disturbed Master Gu, how are you going to deal with this? Hearing this familiar voice, Chi-Ching instantly recognized the person who spoke. His eyes were spitting fire as he looked at the person. Chi-Wu, why are you here? I brought Master Gu to treat the Patriarch. Why isn't he here? You, on the other hand, really brought your senior Yang, who has been in seclusion for 1,000 years? Chi-Wu mocked. Hearing this, Chi-Cheng's face became extremely ugly. At this moment, an old voice was heard. Chi-Chung, Chi-Wen, you two are already adults. Why are you still here? Great Elder. Hearing this, Chi-Chung immediately stood up and looked at the old man beside him. 7th level C of Soul Realm. Chi Clan's Great Elder. Chi-Cheng's grandfather. But I also brought people here, Chi-Chung frowned. Hearing this, Chi-Wu sneered again. Master Gu is already halfway through treating the patriarch. It's one thing for you to rush in and cause trouble, but you still want to take the credit? You've really lost your mind and thought that a 17 or 18-year-old youth is some kind of 1,000-year-old monster. The dignified Chi Clan's young master actually believed a liar. If this gets out, you'll be a joke for eternity. Hearing this, Chi-Cheng's face changed drastically. He stared at Chi-Wu and clenched his fists as if he was about to attack immediately. However, Tianyang stopped him. Let him take a look first. If he can be cured, I'll still have some time left, Tianyang said. Hearing this, Chi-Chung suppressed the anger in his heart and slowly loosened his fists. Tactful. Chi-Wu laughed lightly. Master Gu, please continue. All right. Master Gu nodded indifferently, as if the disturbance from Chi-Chung and Chi-Wen did not disturb him at all. Patriarch Chi's illness is too serious. There's no way to cure him directly with medicine, so we can only use gentle means. Now, I'll use the silver needles to force out the death chi first. Then, I'll look at the illness and prepare the medicine for you to prepare, Master Gu said. Then, he opened his space bag and 9 silver needles appeared in his hand. He casually tossed the needles, and the 9 silver needles immediately floated in the air. Master Gu is indeed a master of Jiangbei City. His methods are indeed powerful. Seeing this, Chi-Wu immediately flattered him. Tianyang, on the other hand, was calm and looked at Master Gu as he continued. First needle. Master Gu's face was serious. He released his 3rd C of Soul Realm Jun Yuan and pierced the first silver needle into Patriarch Chi's body. Patriarch Chi groaned, but did not say anything. Second needle. Master Gu waved his hand and changed to another place. The second silver needle was pierced. The first silver needle was rapidly turning purple and black at a speed visible to the naked eye. Third boom. Just as Master Gu was about to insert the 3rd needle, Tianyang suddenly made his move. Master Gu's body was directly sent flying. When the 3rd needle is inserted, I'm afraid Patriarch Chi will be stabbed to death. Chapter 9:14. Puff. Master Gu was blasted away by Tianyang and spat out a mouthful of blood in midair. Although the Chi clan occupied a large area and the Patriarch mansion was not small, this was only a room. How big could it be? Master Gu was blasted into the wall and was almost embedded in it. His face was extremely pale, and the remaining 7 silver needles fell to the ground due to losing control. This was the result of Tianyang holding back. Otherwise, how could Master Gu, with his cultivation of the 3rd level of C of Soul Realm, block the attack of the ancestral dragon body? What are you doing? At this moment, Chi-Wu suddenly roared and looked at Tianyang with a face full of satisfaction. This guy actually attacked Master Gu. He was courting death. Tianyang was invited by Chi-Chung, and now Tianyang attacked and blasted away Master Gu, who was treating the Chi clan patriarch. Not only Tianyang had to take the blame, but Chi-Chung also had to take the blame. Even the Chi clan patriarch will be disappointed in Chi-Chung. At that time, as the grandson of the Great Elder, wouldn't the position of patriarch be easily obtained? Senior Yanyu. Even Chi-Cheng's face was full of disappointment. Tianyang's attitude was not bad before, so why did he attack now? Could it be that he was really a liar like Chi-Wu said? Who are you? Why did you attack when I was treating? At this moment, Master Gu spat out another mouthful of blood and looked at Tianyang with a face full of anger. When he was in Jiangbei City, countless people flattered him, and no one dared to humiliate him. This time, he came to the small Chi clan because he owed the Chi clan patriarch a favor. In the end, this kid who came out of nowhere actually blasted him away. Great Elder, look at Chi-Chung. He actually brought such a thug. Why aren't you chasing him out? Chi-Wu shouted. The Qi clan Great Elder was also angry, and the aura of the 7th level of Sea of Soul Realm burst out. Qi Chung and Qi Wen were the first to bear the brunt, and instantly found it difficult to breathe. Qi Wu and Master Gu's expressions changed greatly. However, Tianyang stood in the midst of this aura without moving. His face was full of mockery. If you want the head of the Qi clan to die, then feel free to kick me out, Tianyang said indifferently. Hearing this, the smile in Qi Wu's eyes grew even wider. This fellow actually dared to act so recklessly in front of the Grand Elder. In the area of Cloud Town, the Qi family's Grand Elder was one of the strongest existences. This guy with an unknown background actually dared to be so arrogant. The Grand Elder was enraged. His aura bloomed even more. Like a stormy sea, it pressed towards Tianyang. Tianyang, on the other hand, had an indifferent look on his face. No matter how many times he was hammered, he would not budge. Grandmaster Gu, on the other hand, was immediately enraged. He ignored the Grand Elder's pressure and came before Tianyang. You can say that my strength is not good enough, but you can't say that my medical skills are not good enough. You said that I would die if I inserted the 3rd needle. Where did that come from? Grandmaster Gu roared. Seeing this, the Qi family's Grand Elder also released his aura. He could deal with Tianyang as he wished, but he could not afford to offend this popular person in Jiangbei City. Oh, you still want a reason? After glancing at the head of the Qi clan and seeing that he was fine for the time being, Tianyang looked at Grandmaster Gu with disdain. Then tell me, what's the situation with the head of the Qi clan? I can tell a glance. It's just an ordinary osteomalacia disease. It's just that the disease is incurable and the injury is too deep, so I can't do anything about it, Grandmaster Gu said casually. However, just as he finished speaking, he was slapped by Tianyang. You dare to come out and treat people with this kind of character? You're lucky that I didn't treat hundreds of people to death. Grandmaster Gu was enraged. Then tell me what's the situation with the head of the Qi clan. Osteomalacia disease, my ass. You're just an 8th level Sea of Soul Realm expert. How could you have this kind of disease? One look, and I can tell that the head of the Qi clan has been poisoned. Tianyang sneered. Hearing this, Grandmaster Gu's expression changed slightly. Poisoned? Even Qi Chung, Qi Wen, and Qi Wu's expressions changed. Being seriously ill and being poisoned were two different concepts. Being seriously ill could only be attributed to bad luck. However, being poisoned meant that someone was trying to assassinate him. In Cloud Town, who would dare to assassinate the head of the Qi clan? Poisoned? Poisoned? Grandmaster Gu's expression changed greatly. He hastily walked to the head of the Qi clan and pulled out the silver needle. Looking at the purplish-black color, his expression changed greatly. He's really been poisoned. What? Qi Cheng's expression instantly darkened. He roared, Who? Who poisoned my father? Then this. Grandmaster Yang, please tell me, what kind of poison is this? Grandmaster Gu no longer had the demeanor of a high and mighty grandmaster. He pulled out the other silver needle and ran to Tianyang with a respectful expression. Silver needle, purplish-black, limbs weak, body weak, Jinyuan sealed. What kind of poison do you think can make an 8th level Sea of Soul Realm expert like this? Tianyang said indifferently. Hearing this, Master Gu was stunned as well. He thought about it carefully, and his expression changed drastically. It's Blood Buddha Mystic Een poison. What? Blood Buddha Mystic Een poison? Everyone else was stunned. Tianyang was also stunned. What the hell? However, he immediately reacted. He didn't know what kind of poison it was. He only knew that the head of the Qi clan was definitely poisoned. As for what kind of poison it was, he couldn't tell. After all, the Tianshao Great World and the Mysterious Sky Great World were two different worlds. If he told them what he guessed, and they didn't recognize it, it would be over. It's actually Blood Buddha Mystic Een poison. I can't believe such a strange poison was used on the head of the Qi clan. According to the treatment method I just used, it would really cause his vitality to dissipate and the poison to take over his body. Grandmaster Gu said in shock. His face was full of shame. As a grandmaster of medical skills, he actually made such a mistake. If Tianyang didn't remind him, he would have killed his old friend. However, Qi Cheng couldn't care less. He looked at Grandmaster Gu with hopeful eyes. Grandmaster Gu, can you cure him? Right now, Qi Cheng had placed his last hope on Master Gu. Blood Buddha Mystic Yin poison wasn't an ordinary poison. However, to Qi Cheng's despair, Grandmaster Gu pondered for a long time and shook his head helplessly. I can cure the Blood Buddha Mystic Yin poison if it was just used. However, the poison has already entered his bone marrow. At the very least, I need my master to cure him. But my master has already left to travel. I don't know when he'll be back. Hearing this, the atmosphere in the room fell into a dead silence. Even the famous Grandmaster of Medical Skills in Jiangbei City couldn't cure him. Who could cure him? But, Grandmaster Yang, since you can see the Blood Buddha Mystic Yin poison, you must be able to cure him. Grandmaster Gu looked up and glanced at Tianyang, who was only 17 or 18 years old. His face was full of hope. Hearing this, Tianyang was slightly stunned. Qi Cheng and Qi Wen's faces glowed again. That's right. There's still Senior Yang. I can, Tianyang said, but I want a reward. As long as you can cure my father's position as the head of the family will definitely be given to you, Qi Cheng said. Hearing this, Tianyang smiled. That's good. Then Tianyang walked to the side of the half-unconscious head of the Qi family and opened his space bag. Then Tianyang stuffed the round pill into the body of the head of the Qi family. Sleep my *SS. Wake up, Tianyang roared. The power of the life and death reversal pill instantly dissolved and flowed through the body of the head of the Qi family. The poison of the Blood Buddha, Mystic Yin poison, naturally couldn't resist the power of the life and death reversal pill. It was directly flushed out of the body. Grandmaster Gu was also stunned. This treatment method was so violent. However, although it was violent, it was extremely effective. At this moment, the Qi clan patriarch's face, which was originally yellow and bloodless, was rapidly losing its yellow color and becoming rosy. The death aura surrounding his body was also expelled by the vitality. The aura of the 8th level of Sea of Soul Realm that could no longer be exerted reappeared. The next moment, the head of the Qi family opened his eyes. Chapter 9:15. Miraculous Hand. The Blood Buddha Mystic Yin poison that even Master Gu couldn't see through and couldn't do anything about instantly dissipated under Tianyang's pill. And looking at the Qi family head's appearance, it seemed that it wasn't just the poison. The Qi family head's aura has not only recovered, but is also surging more and more. Master Gu looked in disbelief at the Qi family head, who immediately opened his eyes and sat down cross-legged to cultivate without saying a word. He could feel that the Qi family head's aura was growing more and more powerful. Although the Qi family head was already at the 8th level of Sea of Soul Realm, because of the Blood Buddha Mystic Yin poison, his cultivation had regressed instead of advancing. And now, not only had he recovered his cultivation of the 8th level of Sea of Soul Realm, there were even faint signs of a breakthrough. Bang! In the next moment, a huge sound rang out. The Qi family head's eyes opened, erupting with a dazzling light. His entire aura was completely different from his previous sickly appearance. Peak of the 8th level of Sea of Soul Realm. This was the true appearance of the Qi family head, who dominated Cloud Town and dominated a region. I fed a 6th level pill to a Sea of Soul Realm cultivator like you. If those sky-reaching realm cultivators of Sky Cloud continent knew about it, they would probably die of jealousy. Tianyang said to himself inwardly. The previous pill was one of the healing pills that Tianyang had casually refined before leaving, the life and death pill. After reaching the Wuzun realm, 6th level pills were no longer of much use to Tianyang, and the Qi family head's poison had entered his bone marrow. The spirit life pill given to Jun Tianyi was useless to the Qi family head. Therefore, Tianyang gave him the life and death pill. Otherwise, it was unknown whether the Qi family head was still alive or dead. However, Just as Tianyang's thoughts dissipated, he sensed a gaze from the side. Greed, jealousy, and a desire for possession that could be seen at a glance. The source was the Qi family's Grand Elder. Looks like this Grand Elder isn't a good person either. Tianyang's mouth curved into a subtle smile, but he didn't expose it. Although he couldn't use his true essence at the moment, with his primordial spirit and physical body, ordinary reaching heaven states were nothing in front of him. Although this Grand Elder's strength was not bad, he was only a spiritual sea realm cultivator after all. Tianyang could kill him with a flip of his hand. Tianyang wanted to see what else this guy was going to do. Father, you're awake. At this moment, Qi Cheng and Qi Wen finally couldn't endure it any longer and pounced towards the Qi family's patriarch. A joyful smile appeared on the Qi clan head's face as he hugged Qi Cheng and Qi Wen. It's Father's fault for making you worry. No, it's fine as long as Father wakes up, Qi Wen said with tears streaming down her face. Previously, when the Qi family's head had been poisoned to the bone marrow and was about to die, countless people had mocked and ridiculed the two of them. Some had even directly attacked them. They could only endure. Now, there was no need to endure. All right, there are still outsiders here. Don't let Grandmaster Yang see you as a joke. The Qi family's patriarch chuckled and comforted Qi Cheng and Qi Wen. He didn't even look at the Grand Elder and instead looked solemnly at Tianyang. Great kindness cannot be thanked with words. I, Qi Linlang, will remember Grandmaster Yang's kindness. If there's a need, I'll definitely do my best to help. The Qi family's patriarch, Qi Linlang, said, incomparably solemn. Hearing this, Tianyang slightly nodded, not really caring. To tell the truth, Tianyang didn't care about the favor of a spiritual sea realm cultivator in a small city. However, this was the Qi family's patriarch's kind intentions after all, so Tianyang accepted it. Miraculous. Not only did he expel the blood Buddha mysticine poison, this kind of troublesome poison, but it also allowed the Qi family's patriarch to break through to a certain extent. With the current Qi family's true essence, if he cultivates for a few months, he might even be able to reach the 9th level of spiritual sea realm. Only now did Master Gu cry out in surprise. Subsequently, Master Gu no longer cared about Qi Linlang and turned to look at Tianyang, saying with a face full of respect, looking at your previous methods, could it be that Grandmaster Yang is an alchemist? Alchemist. The moment these 3 words came out, the entire room fell silent. No matter which world it was, alchemists had an incomparably revered status. Therefore, when these 3 words came out, everyone's faces changed, especially the Qi family's patriarch, Qi Linlang, whose face was full of disbelief. This youth who looked to be only 17 or 18 years old was actually an alchemist. Looking at the grade of the medicinal pills he used previously, his alchemy cultivation was not low. That's right. Tianyang nodded indifferently. There was nothing to hide about this. As expected, Master Gu heaved a sigh of relief and said. At this time, Tianyang turned his head and looked at Qi Linlang, revealing a trace of a light smile on his face. However, Qi family's patriarch, what you need to do now is not to be long-winded with your son and daughter, right? Could it be that you're not curious about who poisoned you? Hearing this, Qi Linlang's face instantly changed, and the aura of a peak 8th level sea of soul realm instantly erupted. That's right. I almost forgot about this matter. In this cloud town, there's actually someone who dares to poison me, Qi Linlang, and even make my son and daughter work so hard. If this seat finds out, this seat will definitely not forgive him. Qi Linlang shouted furiously. At this time, Tianyang also clearly noticed that the Qi family supreme elder's figure suddenly trembled. Indeed, the blood Buddha mysticine poison is not easy to obtain. Even in Zhongbei City, it's extremely rare to hear of such a poison. To be able to obtain such a poison, he's definitely not an ordinary person, and to be able to poison Patriarch Qi, Master Gu muttered. At this time, the Supreme Elder suddenly erupted. Kid, you talk too much. In the next moment, the aura of a 7th level sea of soul realm expert erupted, and like a sharp longsword, it fiercely slashed towards Tianyang. At this moment, Tianyang was standing by the window. If the Supreme Elder wanted to escape, making a move on Tianyang was the best choice. Not to mention, Tianyang was also an alchemist, so he definitely had extremely abundant treasures on him. If he was able to obtain these treasures, then why would he be afraid of the chief family? When the Supreme Elder thought up to here, the killing intent and greed in the depths of his eyes became even thicker. Breeze sword, shatter heaven and soul shatter. The Supreme Elder roared furiously, and a green longsword suddenly appeared in his hand. In the next moment, the longsword slashed out. Shit, Grandmaster Yang, be careful. Qi Linlong's face changed greatly. She completely didn't expect that the Supreme Elder would suddenly make a move. On the other hand, Tianyang only smiled indifferently. He was originally thinking about what to use to expose him, but he didn't expect that the Supreme Elder would be the first to lose his composure and make a move on him. He indeed looked like a soft persimmon that was easy to pinch. But whether or not that was the case was still uncertain. Facing the Supreme Elder's breeze sword, Tianyang only threw out a punch. Damnable fellow! Grandmaster Gu was also furious. He actually dared to make a move when surrounded by so many people. He simply didn't put them in his eyes. However, the Supreme Elder's move was truly too fast and too sudden. Even they didn't have the time to rescue him. They could only watch helplessly as the Grand Elder's Qingfeng sword collided with Tianyang's fist. Boom! A loud sound rang out, and a blood-colored light also flew out in midair. However, the scene that everyone imagined of Tianyang being heavily injured by the sword and the Supreme Elder escaping through the window didn't happen. On the contrary, it was Tianyang. With one punch, he broke the Qingfeng sword and destroyed the sword. Following that, he sent the Grand Elder flying. P.S. Let me tell you some unfortunate news. Due to the author returning to his hometown, he was fatigued from the long journey, wind and snow, endless traffic, mountains and ridges. So in the next few days, it's very likely that there will only be 2 updates. Chapter 916. One punch sent him flying. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. Even Master Gu, who had a transcendent status in Jiangbei City and had seen countless things, was also stunned. That was a 7th level C of Soul Realm expert, and it was a sudden attack, even they didn't react. However, Tianyang actually reacted quickly and turned around with a punch, instantly killing the Qi family's Supreme Elder. Was this something a 17 or 18-year-old youth could do? Moreover, what was most difficult for Master Gu to accept was that in this punch, Master Gu actually didn't sense the slightest fluctuation of true essence. Was the other party too strong, causing him to be unable to see anything? Or was it that Tianyang simply didn't have any true essence? Regardless of which, it was enough to shock the world. Damnable guy, actually daring to attack Master Yang. At this time, Qi Linlang roared angrily and was just about to attack, but was stunned to discover the Qi family Supreme Elder was already lying on the ground, unconscious. Qi Linlang was stunned. What was going on? I didn't expect that not only is Master Yang's alchemy formidable, but even his martial arts are so superb. I admire you. At this time, Master Gu spoke with a face full of admiration. It couldn't be helped, he had to admire. Originally, he thought that since Tianyang could refine a medicinal pill that could instantly expel a poison like the Blood Buddha Mysticine poison, his alchemy must be incomparably formidable, and his martial arts probably wouldn't be strong either. Didn't he? Master Gu, who had formidable medical skills, was only at the 3rd level of C of Soul Realm now. In the end, Tianyang's martial arts were actually so monstrous as well. At this moment, Qi Wu was completely dumbfounded. From the instant Qi family's patriarch recovered to the Supreme Elder attacking, and then to Tianyang instantly killing the Supreme Elder, he had been in a dazed state the entire time. This guy wasn't a liar? Alchemy was formidable. Martial arts was equally formidable. Could it be that this guy was really a mighty figure who had been in seclusion for 1,000 years and had regained his youth? Master Gu is too kind, Tianyang said indifferently. At this time, Qi Linlang finally reacted, and her face was full of indescribable expression as she looked at Tianyang. This might not be, he was too strong. Sending the Supreme Elder, who suddenly attacked, flying with a punch. Especially when there was no sign before, this Master Yang's strength was probably even stronger than his, for such an expert to enter their Qi clan. However, this thought lingered in Qi Linlong's heart for a second before it automatically dissipated. If Tianyang really had bad intentions, he didn't need to cure him at all. He could just kill everyone in the Qi family. Who would have thought that the Grand Elder was actually a traitor of the Qi clan? Grandmaster Yang, don't worry. I'll definitely grind this guy's bones to dust and find the real culprit behind this. Qi Linlang said loudly. In his own room, his own people had done such a thing. He was also ashamed. I don't think so, Tianyang said as he looked at the lifeless Grand Elder lying on the ground, wearing a human skin mask and pretending to be dead. Don't you feel suffocated? How do you know I'm not dead? At this moment, the Supreme Elder suddenly jumped up, his face filled with disbelief. As for Grandmaster Gu and the Qi clan's patriarch, they were also stunned. Grandmaster Gu was still alive? Tianyang shook his head when he heard this. The moment he punched, he could feel a powerful force suddenly erupting from the body of the Supreme Elder in front of him. It was very strong, but it wasn't obvious. It directly blocked his casual punch, and the effect of that punch was only to send the Supreme Elder flying. That mouthful of blood was completely forced out of the Supreme Elder's mouth. However, it doesn't matter how you know. Die. The Supreme Elder snorted coldly and tore off the skin on his face with both hands. An unfamiliar and ferocious middle-aged man's face was revealed. What? Qi Wu's expression changed drastically. His grandfather, the Qi clan Supreme Elder, was actually gone? Who are you? Where did the Qi clan's Supreme Elder go? Qi Linlong's expression changed drastically as she looked at the unfamiliar middle-aged man and shouted angrily. The Qi clan's Supreme Elder? That guy has probably become a part of the mountains and rivers of the East Sea State. The unfamiliar middle-aged man sneered. Hearing this, Qi Linlang, Qi Wu, Qi Wen, and Qi Cheng's faces instantly turned pale. The Supreme Elder was dead? I remember now. You're the missing clan leader of the Lin clan, Lin Tianrong. At this moment, Master Gu's pupils constricted as he looked at the unfamiliar middle-aged man and exclaimed. Hearing this, the unfamiliar middle-aged man was stunned. He looked at Master Gu and said, So it's Master Gu from Jiangbei. No wonder you can see through my identity. How about this? You can leave, and I won't trouble you. As for everyone here, Lin Tianrong snorted coldly. They'll all die. Hearing this, everyone except Tianyang's expression changed drastically. You want me to die? Qi Linlang was so angry that she laughed. I'd like to see how you're going to kill me. In the next moment, Qi Linlong's figure flashed, and the aura of a peak 8C of Soul Realm exploded, fiercely attacking Lin Tianrong. If you're fully recovered, you might be a threat to me. But now, Lin Tianrong snorted coldly and punched out casually. Boom! A blood-colored Buddha light burst out, and a monstrous spiritual power was released. Blood Buddha Sky, 9th C of Soul Realm. Qi Linlong's expression changed as she looked at Lin Tianrong in disbelief. Damn it! Mystic Extreme Fist. Boom! Qi Linlang and Lin Tianrong fiercely collided together. However, just when everyone thought that Qi Linlang could contend with Lin Tianrong, Qi Linlang suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and was directly blasted flying. I said before, everyone here will die. Lin Tianrong sneered and no longer cared about Qi Linlang. His resentful gaze looked towards Tianyang. Kid, if not for you, I'm afraid no one here would know that Qi family's Grand Elder is dead, and I could also frame the Rin family. But you shouldn't have actually forced me to expose my identity. Now you can go die. Lin Tianrong roared and punched out again. Blood-colored Buddha, a light flashed. Blood Buddha Sky. Seeing this, Master Gu's expression immediately changed greatly. Master Yang, be careful. This is the method of the Evil Path sect, Blood Buddha sect. That's right, I was chosen by the Blood Buddhist sect's master and cultivated in the Blood Buddhist sect for 5 years. Now that I've returned, it's to dominate Cloud Town. I'll use your blood as the beginning of my Lin family's rise. Not just you, but also your family and friends. I'll kill them all. Lin Tianrong laughed sinisterly. That punch also erupted fiercely. Oh, you have quite an idea. While at this time, Tianyang's brows raised, a trace of killing intent suffused in his eyes. It's just a pity that this idea is unrealistic. Ancestral dragon physique. A dragon mark erupted. A dragon force gushed out. Tianyang snorted coldly and punched out. Boom! A deafening explosion resounded in this main residence. Smoke and dust scattered everywhere, blurring everyone's eyes. However, Qi Linlang could still see clearly. In the smoke and dust, Lin Tianrong's figure became incomparably distorted. Immediately after, boom! Chapter 9:17. It exploded in an instant. Tianyang's expression didn't change at all. He even wanted to laugh. Even if he couldn't use his true yuan, just the strength of his fleshly body alone was enough to easily crush an ordinary 5th-level heavenly completion stage martial artist. Lin Tianrong was crazy enough to fight him head-on. It was ridiculous. This blood splattered on the faces of Qi Linlang and the others. Feeling the warm, blood-red liquid on their faces, everyone was stunned once again. Today was probably the most shocking day of their lives. Lin Tianrong is dead. After all, Qi Linlang used to be the head of the strongest family in Cloud Town, so he still had the ability to react. He wiped the blood off his face and looked at the room that was covered in blood after the smoke and dust dispersed. That was Lin Tianrong, who had sent him flying with one punch. In terms of strength, he could suppress the entire Cloud Town. He's dead. I couldn't control myself and destroyed his soul. I'm sorry. Tianyang shrugged his shoulders. This Lin Tianrong cultivated an evil cultivation technique and had killed countless people. The amount of resentment on his body was terrifying. Tianyang's punch had blasted his body apart and severely injured his soul. Without any suppression, the resentment surged forward and tore Lin Tianrong's soul to shreds. It's okay. We got all the information we can. It's not important. Qi Linlang hurriedly shook his head. He didn't dare to pursue the matter with Tianyang. Not to mention that Tianyang had saved his life. Tianyang's terrifying strength wasn't something he could pursue. Such strength wasn't something that the Qi family, or even any cultivator in Cloud Town, could resist. He was probably in the reaching heaven realm. Reaching heaven realm. Even in Jiangbei City, the third largest city in the EC state, there were very few reaching heaven realm cultivators. Only the mayor had the strength of a half-step Wuzun. Such a powerhouse could rule over the entire EC state. How could a small family like the Qi family compete with such a powerhouse? Even if Tianyang wasn't in the reaching heaven realm and was only at the peak of the half-step reaching heaven realm, the Qi family couldn't afford to offend him. That's good. By the way, I told your son that the reward for curing you is the Qi family sky spirit grass. You won't refuse, right? Tianyang said casually. Qi Linlang's expression changed. Just as he was about to speak, he remembered Tianyang's terrifying strength and could only smile bitterly. I'll discuss it with the elders. I'll give you the sky spirit grass, no matter what. Master Yang, said Qi Linlang's tea. How's that? Qi Linlang said. Tianyang nodded. To Cloud Town's Yun was to Cloud Town. SSS to Cloud. SSS was to nourish him to heaven. At that time, it would be easier for him to recover. Night. Qi Linlang's face was full of respect as she offered the heavenly spirit grass with both hands. The sky spirit grass was a precious medicine that Qi Linlang's grandfather had found in a secret realm. It was very valuable. The Xintian Great World's currency was the Reiki. However, the Reiki was different from the Reiki Tianyang had obtained from the Tianshao Great World. The Xintian Great World's Reiki was called the Earth Reiki. It contained the unique power of the Xintian Great World. Tianyang's Reiki also contained boundless heaven and earth spirit Qi, but couldn't be used. An Earth Reiki was enough to buy a low-grade spiritual weapon. The sky spirit grass was worth thousands of Reiki. However, this Reiki was nothing compared to the Chi family's patriarch's life. In the afternoon, when the elders of the Chi family were discussing, there were still many elders who objected. However, when Chi Linlang said that Lin Tianrong had disguised himself as the Grand Supreme Elder and suddenly attacked, he was blown up by Tianyang's great magic power. Everyone fell silent. In this world, strength was respected. Tianyang had such terrifying strength. It was already polite of him not to snatch their sky spirit grass. He had even cured Chi Linlang and destroyed the Chi family's biggest hidden danger. If it had been some domineering cultivator, they would have slaughtered the Chi family, taken the sky spirit grass, and left. Tianyang took the sky spirit grass and nodded. Speaking of which, what's the situation with the Blood Buddha sect that Lin Tianrong mentioned today? Judging from your expressions, you all seem to be afraid. Tianyang said casually. Chi Linlang's expression changed slightly when she heard that. She looked puzzled. Could it be that Master Yang was really an old monster who had gone into seclusion for 1,000 years? He didn't even know about the Blood Buddha sect, the largest evil faction near Jiangbei City. However, it made no difference to Chi Linlang whether he had gone into seclusion for 1,000 years or not. He explained respectfully. The Blood Buddha sect is an evil faction that has appeared around Jiangbei City in the East Sea State in the past 500 years. It is very similar to the Behemoth Buddhist sect in the Xintian Great World, but it is the complete opposite. It does not believe in Buddha, but a blood-colored demonic Buddha. On the other hand, the blood-colored demonic Buddha needs human blood to grow. That is why the Blood Buddha sect has become an evil faction with a fierce reputation. As for the Blood Buddha sect, because they believe in the blood-colored demonic Buddha, they have many powerful evil cultivation techniques. Now, they are one of the strongest factions in the surrounding area. Chi Linlang said with a face full of fear. Tianyang's expression did not change when he heard that. Believing in the blood-colored demonic Buddha was an enemy of the Orthodox Buddhist sect? When Tianyang was in the Tianshao Great World, he did not have a good relationship with the Buddhist sect. It could be said that they were mortal enemies. However, before Tianyang could come out of the tomb of the Dragon Emperor to take revenge, the Buddhist sect had been annihilated in the Blood Sea. This made Tianyang lose his motivation. However, this caused the Heavenly Sun to become displeased with the Buddhists. Going against the Buddhist sect. Fine, but going against me. You can only die, Tianyang muttered. Chi Linlang was scared out of her wits when she heard that. The Blood Buddha sect has 3 experts at LV5 of the Heavenly Completion Realm, 5 experts at LV3 of the Heavenly Completion Realm, and the sect leader at LV7 of the Heavenly Completion Realm, as well as the demonic Buddha statue with the battle prowess of a half-step martial venerable. Master Yang, I know your strength is extraordinary, but the Blood Buddha sect is a behemoth that we cannot afford to offend. Chi Linlang said. Hearing this, Tianyang shrugged his shoulders and did not comment. Let's not talk about such distant things for now. Lin Tianrong is from the Blood Buddha sect and is also a member of the Lin family. The Lin family must be related to the Blood Buddha sect. This, according to the information I received, that is indeed the case. Chi Linlang hesitated for a moment before speaking. I see. Since this guy wants to annihilate my family and kill my friends and family, then Tianyang's eyes narrowed slightly. Friends and family were Tianyang's reverse scale. Moreover, Lin Tianrong had attacked him before. I can't let him go. Chi Linlang was stunned. She raised her head and saw nothing. 2 hours later, in Cloud Town, in the direction of the Lin family, a huge fire suddenly burst into the sky. The Lin family was exposed for secretly worshipping the demonic Blood Buddha, and all 372 members of the family were killed. Chapter 9:18. In just a few hours, one of the largest clans in Cloud Town, the Lin clan that had the potential to surpass the Chi clan, was annihilated by a young man. If Chi Linlang hadn't seen the Lin clan in flames, she wouldn't have believed that the Lin clan, who had been fighting with the Chi clan for so long, would be annihilated just like that. When Tianyang returned calmly, he found that Qi Linlong's expression had become even more respectful. The rules of the mysterious sky great world were crueler than the Tianxiao great world. The strong walked in the air and looked down on all living things. They didn't care about living things at all. They were high and mighty, and with a flip of their hand, they could shatter heaven and earth and kill countless living things. The weak crawled on the ground. Their lives were not in their own hands, and they could be annihilated at any time. Qi Linlang was at the peak of the 8th level of the Sea of Soul Realm. In Cloud Town, she was one of the strongest. However, after Tianyang showed that he could annihilate the Lin clan with a flip of his hand, she could only choose to bow her head. This wasn't cowardice, but acting according to circumstances. Grandmaster Yang, if there's anything you need, you must let me know. My Qi clan will definitely not refuse. Qi Linlang said in a trembling voice. Her voice was extremely firm. Hearing this, Tianyang didn't comment. He said indifferently, "As you wish. I'm a little tired now and need a rest. You can leave first." He knew that this was the Qi clan's move to surrender to him after learning of his strength. In the martial world, it was normal for the weak to rely on the strong. However, Tianyang didn't want the Qi clan to rely on him. They were too weak. Hearing this, Qi Linlong's eyes dimmed when Tianyang didn't reply. However, she quickly recovered her thoughts and regained her respectful attitude. She said, "Then thank you, Grandmaster Yang, for getting rid of this big trouble for my Qi clan." Then, Qi Linlang didn't hesitate and simply bid farewell and left. Although she was a little disappointed that Tianyang didn't agree, Qi Linlang still understood that going too far was as bad as falling short. After all, Tianyang was a terrifying expert whose strength far exceeded hers. No matter how good a relationship she had, it wouldn't be bad. Upon seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change. He waited until Qi Linlang returned to the patriarch's residence before turning his primordial spirit back. The Qi clan's heavenly spirit grass is indeed worthy of being treated as a clan treasure. It has been preserved extremely well. If placed in the Tianxiao Great World, it would cost at least several million Reiki. Tianyang muttered to himself as he took out the sky spirit grass. With the heavenly spirit grass, I've gathered most of the ingredients for the heavenly spirit treasure pill. I wonder if there are any left in Jiangbei City. If there is, then I will be able to recover my strength very quickly. Tianyang looked at his palms and clenched his fists. He felt the silent, true essence in his body and shook his head. Although the power of his primordial spirit was at the 5th tier of the Wuzun realm, Tianyang had a basic understanding of the Xintian Great World's cultivator's battle prowess after the test of wiping out the Lin clan. Indeed, even the strongest of the Lin clan, Lin Tianrong, who was at the 9th tier of the Sea of Soul Realm, was just an ant in front of him. However, some of the Lin clan's cultivators had used the techniques bestowed by the Blood Demon Buddha to give Tianyang a lot of trouble. After all, Tianyang couldn't use true essence at the moment. It would take some effort for him to destroy the Lin clan with just his physical strength. Unlike the Tianxiao Great World, the Xintian Great World's cultivators have cultivation methods, martial skills, and divine powers. They are much stronger than those in the Tianxiao Great World. It will be difficult to deal with them. In the Tianxiao Great World, I could use all kinds of methods to challenge those above my level. But in the Xintian Great World, it will be much more difficult. Tianyang shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. In the Tianxiao Great World, even before he broke through to the Ascension Realm, he could rely on the Divine Wilderness Sky Spirit Art and other powerful techniques to be invincible. His enemies didn't even have cultivation methods. But in the Xintian Great World, there were cultivation methods. His overall battle strength had naturally increased by leaps and bounds. In addition, the heaven and earth spirit Qi in the Xintian Great World was much stronger than in the Tianxiao Great World. It was impossible for a half-step to Ascension Realm cultivator to defeat a 6th or 7th tier Ascension Realm cultivator like before. But now that I'm in the Wuzun Realm, it's unrealistic to challenge those above my level. Tianyang chuckled and sat down cross-legged. The power of his primordial spirit surged and gathered the heaven and earth spirit chi into his body. It nourished his damaged body. The night passed in the blink of an eye. The news of the Lin clan's destruction swept through the entire Cloud Town like a storm. The Lin clan, it was an absolute colossus in Cloud Town, an existence that countless people could only look up to. Like the Ren clan, it had the potential to defeat the Chi clan and become the overlord of Cloud Town. In the end, in that little bit of time at night, the entire Lin clan's 372 people were killed. A great aristocratic family was destroyed just like that. Immediately, all the families in Cloud Town, except for the Chi clan, began to feel threatened. The Chi clan also announced that Chi Linlang had recovered and had even broken through to the peak of 8th tier C of Soul Realm. Once the news came out, all the aristocratic families who had designs on the Chi clan were horrified. The Lin clan was destroyed and the Chi clan was restored. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? Immediately, everyone stopped at the right time. Even the Ren clan, which was not inferior to the Chi clan, ceased all activities in an instant. In fact, they even sent someone to apologize to the Chi clan. They even took the initiative to hand over their forces to the Chi clan. It proved to the entire Cloud Town that the Chi clan was still the overlord of Cloud Town. Regarding this, the Chi clan's countless higher-ups were clear as to what was going on. They treated Tianyang with more respect. As for Chi Chung and Chi Wen, their statuses had also risen. Chi Wu was grieving and gnashing his teeth in hatred. However, as the instigator, Tianyang didn't feel the slightest bit of emotion from this night that turned Cloud Town upside down. To Tianyang, this night without cultivation was very novel. 10 years after his rebirth, he had replaced sleep with cultivation from the beginning. Although Tianyang didn't sleep today, it was still much easier than cultivating. However, the time to relax is indeed very little. Tianyang suddenly sighed and reached out his hand. The door to the room opened. Coming so early, and Master Gu at that. I don't think it's anything good. Let me guess, someone from Jiangbei City came? Tianyang smiled faintly. Master Gu, who was about to knock on the door, was stunned. Similarly stunned was the abnormally tall but pale-faced middle-aged man behind Master Gu. Master Yang's soul power is indeed extraordinary. We didn't even knock on the door, and it already opened automatically. You even know our intentions. Master Gu was stunned for a moment, then reacted with a smile. Tianyang didn't comment. Speak. Why are you looking for me? Chapter 919. If you're a doctor, please leave. Tianyang's indifferent voice sounded. Master Gu's face froze when he heard that. Last night, he had just introduced Tianyang to this powerful person in Jiangbei City, and this person had arrived immediately. He hadn't even said anything, and Tianyang had already rejected him? Well, Master Yang, this is the patriarch of the Zhou family in Jiangbei City. He's at the peak of Heaven Ascension Stage 5, and he has quite a bit of power in Jiangbei City. This, Master Gu said with a troubled expression. The patriarch of the Zhou family was one of the top people in Jiangbei City, and he couldn't afford to offend him. However, Tianyang had displayed such terrifying alchemy cultivation at such a young age. He didn't know how powerful the force behind him was, and Master Gu couldn't afford to offend him. Although Master Gu was famous in Jiangbei City, he was only in the middle class. He wanted to use this opportunity to climb to the upper class, but Tianyang rejected him without even asking. Master Gu's face turned a little ugly. Surrounded by murderous aura and resentment, I can't afford to be tainted by this kind of karma. If the patriarch of the Zhou family doesn't want to give up, please find someone else. Tianyang said indifferently. The power of his primordial spirit was far stronger than everyone present, and he could see the murderous aura on this tall man at a glance. Tianyang didn't believe that the patriarch of the Zhou family didn't kill millions of people to have such murderous aura. Of course, if that was all, Tianyang was confident that he could resolve it without being tainted by any karma. But the more important reason was Tianyang couldn't be bothered with this guy, and that was the most important reason. He was a sword emperor, not an alchemy emperor, and definitely not a medical emperor. Why would he treat the patriarch of the Zhou family whom he had never met before. Moreover, this guy was weaker than him. "Ha! Master Gu said that you're young, but your alchemy cultivation is extremely profound, and your eyesight is amazing." I didn't believe it at first, but now it seems that Master Gu is simply being humble. At this moment, the patriarch of the Zhou family laughed out loud, and then looked at Tianyang with a hopeful face. "Master Yang, is it really not possible? Find someone else." Tianyang only said those 4 words. Hearing this, Master Gu's expression changed drastically. He knew very well that the Zhou family head beside him was infamous in Jiangbei City. Legend has it that someone who did not give the Zhou family any convenience had his legs broken by the head of the Zhou family. 100 years ago, a large force that dominated the area around Jiangbei City was destroyed by the head of the Zhou family. At that time, the patriarch of the Zhou family was only at the 3rd level of the Heaven Ascension stage, while that faction had a 4th level of the Heaven Ascension stage overseeing it. However, the patriarch of the Zhou family had still relied on 1 man and 1 axe to break through the mountain gate, burning his blood essence to defeat that 4th level Heaven Ascension stage expert. The entire sect was destroyed as a result. Tianyang had actually rejected such a ferocious person without even asking. You should at least be more tactful with your words. If the Zhou family's patriarch was enraged, he might not be able to suppress him. However, to Master Gu's surprise, Tianyang's rejection did not make him unhappy at all. Instead, he sighed and asked again, seemingly unwilling to give up, "Is it really impossible?" Tianyang did not answer. "All right then." The Zhou family's patriarch sighed and looked at Tianyang. An inexplicable light flashed in his eyes. "I'm quite famous in Jiangbei City." Master Gu's face turned pale with fright when he heard that. He was in a fight. Putting aside the fact that Tianyang did not have the ability to fight the Zhou family's patriarch. Even if he did, the biggest loser would be him, Master Gu, no matter who won or lost. However, I've asked many medical masters in Jiangbei City who are known as miracle doctors. Some stammered and could not say anything for a long time, while some spoke without thinking. It's completely wrong. Master Yang, you're the first to directly point it out and reject me without giving me face. The Zhou family's patriarch smiled. Then his space bag moved. I heard that Master Yang needs medicinal herbs. Coincidentally, my Zhou family is in the auction business. Please accept this small gift as a token of my respect. Then a ring flew out of the space bag and shot toward Tianyang. Tianyang's expression did not change. He stretched out his hand and took the ring. The space ring did not have any soul imprint. Tianyang easily saw the hidden items in it. His face showed some surprise. He raised his head and said calmly, "The Zhou family's patriarch is really generous, but I won't accept a reward without any effort." Then Tianyang flicked his finger and the space ring was bounced back. "Master Yang, why are you so cold?" The Zhou family's patriarch laughed and did not take it. Seeing that, Tianyang did not comment. The Zhou family was indeed in the auction business. They had sharp eyes. Just from the sky spirit grass, they could tell that he wanted to refine a sky spirit Xian pill. The medicinal herbs in the ring were 3 portions of the sky spirit Xian pill. Although the quality was not as good as the ones cultivated in Tianyang's Earth Emperor's spiritual herb garden, they were not bad. The Qi family's sky spirit grass, which was regarded as their family treasure, had 3 stalks in it. The value of this space ring was more than 10,000 Reiki. Fine. Tianyang shook his head. He did not do it before because he thought it was troublesome. Now that there was a reward that could make up for the trouble, Tianyang had no reason to do it. "Come here." Tianyang waved his hand, and the space ring flew into Tianyang's hand. Seeing this, the Zhou family's patriarch's eyes lit up. "Thank you, Master Yang. You pay, I do it, that's all," Tianyang said. If he had not been seriously injured and urgently needed to refine a sky spirit Xian pill to recover his strength, he would not have bothered with this kind of troublesome matter. At this time, Tianyang looked at the Zhou family's patriarch with a fierce look in his eyes. He was not a good person. No matter how many people the Zhou family's patriarch killed, it had nothing to do with him. However, the killing intent caused by the killing was related to him. Most of it is because of hatred. This guy is too careless. He doesn't know how to refine it. Tianyang smiled. Generally, after a massacre, one only needed to wash the body with true essence to remove the killing intent. This guy, on the other hand, did nothing to deal with it, causing the resentment to accumulate. Now, it had become a spirit. The killing intent will turn into a spirit. Even if you don't die, you will be crippled. Patriarch Zhou must not have made a move for a few years. Tianyang said indifferently. Hearing this, the Zhou family's patriarch could not help but change his expression. Tianyang, you can even see this? If it were another grade 6 alchemist here, I'm afraid he would be crippled immediately if he acted rashly. Fortunately, you met me. In the next moment, Wu Zun's primordial spirit power of the 5th level erupted. A primordial spirit storm suddenly erupted in the entire room. Sensing this primordial spirit power, the Zhou family's patriarch, Master Gu, and even Qi Linlang, who was still in the patriarch's residence, had a drastic change in expression. This was, "Get over here," Tianyang roared. 5 stars of the 7 stars secret technique bloomed. Dubimarak, Fekta, Migrez, Alioth, Pinistar Lock, Bind Song Long. Roar. At this moment, a cloud of black gas suddenly appeared on the Zhou family's patriarch's body, turning into a huge monster that roared wildly at Tianyang. The entire Qi family was trembling. It's just killing intent turned into a spirit. How dare you be impudent in front of me? Tianyang smiled coldly, and the 7 stars secret technique bloomed. Spirit lock, Tianyang shouted in a low voice, and chains of stars flew out, locking the spirit of killing intent tightly. Then, Tianyang spat out a word. Keep. Whoosh. The giant dragon formed by the spirit of killing intent could not block Tianyang's terrifying primordial spirit power at all and was directly kept into the space bag. The Zhou family's patriarch also suddenly felt relaxed. The spirit of killing intent that gave him a headache finally disappeared. Master Yang's means are heaven-defying. Zhou Changkong will definitely remember it in his heart. With Master's order, the Zhou family will definitely go all out. The Zhou family's patriarch knelt on one knee and roared. Hearing that, Chapter 920. Thump. The patriarch of the Zhou family, Zhou Changkong, knelt down. Master Gu's heart was pounding wildly. What was going on? Why was the patriarch of the Zhou family so courteous when he had just cured an illness? Zhou Changkong's illness had been going on for 10 years. It should not have taken his life, but Zhou Changkong knelt down? He even knelt down as the patriarch of the Zhou family? That might not be the case. Only Zhou Changkong and Tianyang knew that the evil spirit was not only difficult to deal with. It would also affect one's luck while harming one's body. Luck. It was mysterious and illusory, but it was real. Why was it that some people were able to pick up divine skills and treasures after jumping off a cliff, while others were able to survive after jumping off a cliff? That was the difference in luck. To a clan, luck was extremely important. If one didn't have a strong luck, then even drinking cold water would be stuck between one's teeth, and it would be extremely difficult to improve. Of course, luck was not absolute. Even if a weakling was extremely lucky, he would not be able to defeat a Saint Almighty. However, for a clan like the Zhou clan that was neither high nor low, luck was especially important. Although the Zhou family was one of the top families in Jiangbei City, they were at the bottom of the rankings. They were in danger of falling if they were not careful. Now that they were surrounded by the evil spirit, which was spreading to the entire family, it would corrode the luck of the entire family. If that was not the case, Zhou Changkong would not have rushed to the Qi family in Cloud Town just to listen to Master Gu's words. He would not have been so grateful after the spirit of evil spirit disappeared. Tianyang had not only saved Zhou Changkong, but also the entire Zhou family. I'm just doing what I've been asked to do. Tianyang waved his hand. Obviously, he did not want to accept Zhou Changkong's bow. Hearing this, Zhou Changkong's face revealed a trace of surprise. He was confident that the Zhou family might not be the strongest among the top families in Jiangbei City, but in Jiangbei City, they were definitely at the top. Apart from him, they also had several Ascension State elites. Such a clan's strength and influence were extremely tyrannical. Even a #1 clan might not be able to easily deal with the Zhou clan. Tianyang had rejected him. If there's nothing else, please go back. I still have things to do. Tianyang said. Zhou Changkong shuddered when he heard that. Master Yang, Cloud Town is definitely not a stage for you to show off your talent. You are so young. There should be a wider world for you to show off. When you are done, can you come to the Zhou family for a chat? Zhou Changkong asked sincerely. Tianyang raised his eyebrows and nodded. Originally, he wanted to go to Jiangbei City to take a look. Now that he had a big family like the Zhou family to lead the way, it was indeed much easier. However, Zhou Changkong did not expect. Even Jiangbei City was not a stage for Heavenly Sunday. The Heavenly Sun Realm stage was the entire Xintian Great Cosmos, and even the Endless Worlds. Master Gu, thank you so much for this. With Tianyang's agreement, Zhou Changkong was overjoyed and retreated. Outside the door, he expressed his gratitude to Master Gu. Although it was not Master Gu Changkong who had saved him. Master Yang was recommended by Master Gu after all. Zhou Changkong knew what Master Gu was thinking. Naturally, he would not disregard him. If you have time, come to my house. Zhou Changkong unleashed his cultivation of LV5 Ascension Realm and flew toward Jiangbei City, which was a few thousand miles away. When Master Gu saw this, he was extremely excited. He bowed respectfully 3 times in the direction of Tianyang's room. Master Yang, I will repay your kindness in the future. At this moment, Master Gu was completely convinced. Tianyang said that he had things to do. In fact, there was nothing much to do. Heaven's spiritual treasure Xian pill? Tianyang had the immortal bloodline and could recover quickly from his injuries. However, his injuries were too serious this time. The immortal fire had not ignited yet. It was too much to think of using the true flames of destruction to refine pills. However, this spirit of killing intent is not bad. It can be used as a weapon spirit. Tianyang took out the spirit of killing intent from his space bag. At this moment, the spirit of killing intent was still extremely violent. It kept attacking Tianyang's astral chains, as if trying to break them. However, the spirit of killing intent was only in the Ascension realm at its peak. It did not have any techniques, and was even weaker than Qi Yin Supreme. Naturally, it could not escape from Tianyang's hands. It's a waste to use the Great Void Sword Embryo as a weapon spirit. All Heaven's Sword? The weapon spirit of All Heaven's Sword would eat it up. Then it can only be the Styx Sword. Tianyang smiled and took out the Styx Sword, which had been sealed for a long time. The Styx Sword, a middle-grade spiritual weapon, was not weak. However, as Tianyang obtained the Great Void Sword Embryo, the Styx Sword became less and less useful. However, if he obtained the spirit of killing intent today and merged it with the Styx Sword, it might be able to break through the shackles of the middle-grade spiritual weapon and become a high-grade, or even a supreme-grade spiritual weapon. No one in the Tianshao Great World was stronger than Tianyang. Therefore, the Great Void Sword Embryo and the All-Heaven Sword could be taken out at will. However, in the Xintian Great World, these two swords could only be suppressed. The Great Void Sword Embryo was a holy weapon embryo, and an extraordinary one at that. If it was completed, it might even surpass the All-Heaven Sword. A weapon embryo and a finished product were two different concepts. The All-Heaven Sword, Shuntian Wuzuan's sword, was a heavily damaged holy weapon. Needless to say, it was a holy weapon. After much consideration, the Styx Sword was the most suitable sword for Tianyang's daily use. If Tianyang had recovered that day, it would not have been so troublesome. Tianyang was arrogant, but he was not stupid. Then, there's no time to lose. Let's start refining immediately. Tianyang's eyes blossomed with a dazzling light. All 5 stars appeared. The unruly, murderous aura spirit was also rapidly refined at this moment, turning into the Styx Sword's artifact spirit. Even the Netherworld War Hall's artifact spirit, who had given Tianyang the Netherworld inheritance, did not expect this. This sword would step into a higher world one day and transcend its shackles. Refining the murderous aura spirit was not a big deal for Tianyang and Wu Zun's 5th stage essence spirit. In just one night, the refinement was completed. At this moment, the stick sword had also become a supreme-grade spirit artifact, because it had an artifact spirit and had been refined by Tianyang again. Grandmaster Yang, are you leaving? At this moment, Qi Linlang had also arrived outside Tianyang's room. There was a trace of regret in her respectful tone. Although she had long known that such a day would come, it was still a pity when it really came. If Tianyang had continued to stay in the Qi family, it was possible that the Qi family would have unified Cloud Town. However, Qi Linlang was also clear. An existence like Tianyang was a true dragon hidden in the pool. It was fine if he did not appear, but if he did, he would shake the 9 heavens. Grandmaster Yang, my father asked me to bring you to Jiangbei City. At this moment, a young man flying on a sword suddenly flew over from the horizon. He looked at Grandmaster Yang outside the Qi family and said respectfully, Cloud Town was only the starting point of Tianyang's journey to the mysterious heaven's great world. Now, he had to leave the starting point. Chapter 9:21. Greetings, Master Yang. I'm Zhou Yonglin, the son of the head of the Zhou family. My father asked me to bring you to Jiangbei City. Zhou Yonglin looked at Tianyang curiously while flying on his sword. In Zhou Changkong's narration, Tianyang was exaggerated to the point that it was as if he was a celestial being who had descended to the mortal world. Originally, the task of receiving Tianyang was supposed to be taken up by his sister, but the curious Zhou Yonglin took it up directly. Now that he looked at him, he seemed ordinary. Tianyang's vigorous vitality could not be hidden from Master Gu, Qi Linlang, Zhou Changkong, and the others. Saying that he had been in seclusion for 1,000 years might be enough to fool Qi Cheng, Qi Wen, and Qi Wu, who were not even in the Spirit Sea realm, but it was impossible to fool Zhou Yonglin. He's probably younger than me. I wonder what his cultivation is like. Is he really as powerful as my father said? Zhou Yonglin was suspicious, but he did not show it on his face. Instead, he smiled and said, I wonder if Master Yang is a place to go now. If not, the major families in Jiangbei City are holding a gathering of the younger generation. Would Master Yang like to come? Zhou Yonglin smiled. A gathering of the younger generation in Jiangbei City was an understatement. In fact, it was not only a gathering, but also a martial arts competition. Zhou Changkong praised Tianyang as if he was a god in front of the Zhou family. His medical skills were superb, his martial arts were unparalleled, and his alchemy skills were comparable to the real alchemy masters in Jiangbei City. Naturally, Zhou Yonglin was not convinced, especially when he found out that Tianyang might be younger than him. Tianyang walked casually in the void like a mortal. However, with every step Tianyang took, it seemed to distort the space and brought him to an extremely far distance. There was no trace of smoke or fire. However, he walked side by side with Zhou Yonglin's sword without the slightest hint of dismay. Okay, Tianyang glanced at Zhou Yonglin. He could tell what this guy was thinking and could not help but smile. It was good to be young. Jiangbei City, located in the East Sea, was the 3rd largest city in the East Sea state. It was surrounded by the Xinjiang River to the south, and further east was the Endless Ocean. When he arrived outside Jiangbei City, Tianyang also showed a hint of surprise. There were not many powerhouses in Jiangbei City, but its luck was extraordinary. How is it? This is the spirit of Jiangbei City. Seeing a trace of surprise on Tianyang's face, Zhou Yonglin immediately became cocky. The gathering of geniuses I mentioned is just outside the city. It's not too late for us to go now, Zhou Yonglin said. Then, he rode on his sword and flew toward a misty mountain peak outside the city. Tianyang followed closely behind, as if he was just walking, calmly keeping up. Tiandang Mountain. The mountain was so high that it pierced through the clouds. Halfway up the mountain, there was a group of young elites drinking wine and discussing martial arts. They were enjoying themselves with feather fans and silk headscarves. Speaking of which, why isn't Zhou Yonglin here yet? If this guy doesn't come, the rest of the competition will be meaningless. At this moment, a mutter came from a man in a long robe on the mountainside. Hearing this, everyone frowned slightly. Indeed, Zhou Yonglin was too arrogant. The gathering of young elites was held once every few years, and ordinary people couldn't even come. Yet, Zhou Yonglin was late. He's probably too busy with Zhou clan's matters. His father's illness has been going on for 10 years, and there haven't been any talents in Zhou clan for 10 years. I reckon any first-rate clan could challenge Zhou clan's position. A young man sneered. He was a member of Wei clan. Tang Lu Wei Zhou. The four strongest clans in Jiangbei City looked down on all living things. The lifeline of Jiangbei City was in the hands of these four clans. Below these four clans were the other clans that had endless tricks up their sleeves. However, in the past 10 years, Zhou clan had been mediocre. They didn't have any new blood. Even the strongest Zhou Yonglin was only at the 8th level of C of Soul Realm. He was far from the younger generation of Tang, Lu, and Wei clans. Therefore, Wei clan was so rude. At this moment, a stream of light descended from the sky. Zhou Yonglin chanted an incantation and put away his flying sword. Then, he looked at the crowd on the mountainside and smiled apologetically. Sorry, something came up at home, so I'm late. I'll punish myself with 3 cups later. Humph. Seeing Zhou Yonglin, that Wei clan member shut his mouth. On the surface, the four clans were still united. Haha, Yonglin is finally here. Let's drink and take a break. How about we start the main event later? At this moment, a young man from Lu clan laughed. Lu clan was ranked 2nd among the four clans. They had been rooted in Jiangbei City for 300 years. Even if Wei clan and Zhou clan join hands, they might not be able to defeat them. Lu clan's current successor was also good at handling matters. He had the strength of peak 9th level of C of Soul Realm and didn't put on airs. Instead, he pulled Zhou Yonglin's hand and walked to the core. As for Tianyang at the side, he was ignored. Tianyang didn't care. He found a seat nearby and sat down. The conversation at the side was in full swing. Martial arts, souls, methods to enter the Ascension realm. Everything was discussed. For cultivators of aristocratic families, this was indeed a good topic. However, Tianyang felt bored. Even if the others couldn't keep up with their cultivation, they would still interrupt to show their presence. Tianyang, on the other hand, was too lazy to talk because his cultivation was too high. He seemed out of place. Zhou Yonglin, I'm not targeting you, but the place where your servant is sitting doesn't follow the rules very well. At this moment, the young man from Wei clan looked at Tianyang, who didn't fit in, and raised his eyebrows and sneered. Hearing this, Zhou Yonglin was stunned. For a moment, he didn't think of anything. Then he saw Tianyang sitting in the core like them. Only the disciples of the four clans, or aristocratic families, second to the four clans, could sit in this place. Yonglin, let him go. At this moment, the young man from Lu clan spoke with an unquestionable expression. He was an easygoing person, but Tianyang was obviously not in the same category. Moreover, Tianyang was sitting closer to the genius of Tang clan than they were. Hearing this, Zhou Yonglin's face showed a trace of struggle. Before he left, Zhou Changkong told him to treat Tianyang well. But now, Wei clan and Lu clan spoke together. Could he offend these two future heirs for Tianyang? In the end, Zhou Yonglin could only remain silent. At this moment, the young man from Wei clan had a sinister expression on his face. He stood up with a sneer and walked in front of Tianyang. Kid, this is not a place for you to sit. Get out of here. The young man from Wei clan sneered. Tianyang just raised his eyelids and didn't say anything. He didn't move at all. Seeing this, the young man from Wei clan was furious. How dare someone ignore him on his turf? Little bastard, are you deaf? Born with a disability? You're a bastard with no father. The young man from Wei clan mocked. Hearing this, Tianyang's eyes flashed coldly. Kneel, Tianyang said indifferently. What he hated the most was people making fun of his parents. What did you say? The young man from Wei clan thought he heard wrong and said in disbelief. Deaf, Tianyang said coldly. Wu Zun's 5th level primordial spirit aura erupted. Boom! Instantly, the young man from Wei clan felt as if a mountain was pressing down on his back. His entire body bent down. His eyes were bulging and bloodshot. What are you doing? Zhou Yonglin shouted angrily. That's the Wei clan. However, Tianyang ignored him and looked at the young man from Wei Clan instead. I told you to kneel. Bang! The pressure on the young man from Wei Clan's back suddenly increased several times. The young man from Wei Clan spat out blood, and his knees went weak. Chapter 922. Wei Yunhai, the young master of Wei Clan, a 9th level C of Soul Realm warrior, knelt down. He knelt down in front of a young man. Lu Clan, Zhou Clan, Han Clan, Jiang Clan, except for the Tang Clan who was hiding in the palanquin beside Tianyang. Everyone's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. That was not a small clan in Cloud Town, but one of the top 4 clans in Jiangbei City, the Wei Clan. Brat, I'm going to kill you. Wei Yunhai roared madly, his face full of hatred. Kneel again. Tianyang's expression did not change as he spoke indifferently. The pressure exerted on Wei Yunhai's body increased again. Bang! Wei Yunhai's knees had already sunk half a foot into the ground, and now they sank another half a foot. Tiandang Mountain was not a mountain with loose soil, but a spiritual mountain where heaven and earth gathered together. Every stone and soil was incomparably tough. Wei Yunhai howled in pain. He felt that his knees were about to explode. Master Yang, what are you doing? At this moment, Zhou Yonglin finally could not take it anymore. He stood up and shouted at Tianyang. That's the young master of Wei Clan. At this moment, Zhou Yonglin had already made his decision. No matter how important Master Yang was, it could not be more important than the relationship between the 4 clans. Master Yang, hearing this, the young man from Lu Clan raised his eyebrows and revealed a sinister expression. Making people kneel as soon as you arrive, what a master's demeanor. Hearing the young man from Lu Clan's words, Zhou Yonglin panicked. Young Master Lu, don't worry, I'll take care of him. Master Yang, let go of him. Zhou Yonglin shouted anxiously. Hearing this, Tianyang's expression remained unchanged, and he didn't say a word. Wei Yunhai, on the other hand, had finally caught his breath, and he shouted madly. Little bastard, let go of me, or I'll have your whole family executed. Not a single one of you left alive. Huh? Tianyang's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light. At this moment, he was really angry. Slash! A cold light flashed, and Wei Yunhai, who was still mocking Wei Yunhai, froze. The clamoring voices also came to an abrupt end. You! Wei Yunhai stared at Tianyang. His pupils gradually dilated as if he couldn't believe that Tianyang actually dared to do this. Then, a slanted line of blood appeared in the middle of his neck. The next moment, Wei Yunhai's head separated from his body and slid down. The incision was smooth and neat. The young lord of the Wei Clan, Wei Yunhai, was dead. Zhou Yonglin was stunned. Even he didn't expect this. Tianyang dared to kill Wei Yunhai. Zhou Yonglin could almost imagine what kind of wrath Tianyang, and even the entire Zhou family, would have to bear. The fury of the Wei Clan. Good. At this time, the young man from the Lu family was also furious. This was the first time someone dared to kill the person he wanted to take as his mistress in front of him. The other disciples were also dumbfounded. Did this guy eat a bear's heart or a leopard's guts? Suddenly, Tianyang's surroundings seemed to have been cleared. No one dared to stay near Tianyang. Apart from the dead Wei Yunhai, there was also the person in the sedan 10 meters away from Tianyang. Now that everyone is gone, it's time for me to use it. The young man from the Lu family revealed a ferocious expression. His peak 9th level C of Soul Realm Zhen Yuan burst out. The rolling pressure intimidated the whole place. This is the Lu family's ancestral martial art, Earth Upper Grade martial art, ancient elephant stomping art. Lu Xiaoyan used such a powerful martial art as soon as he arrived. It seems like this arrogant guy is dead for sure. He was already dead. If he didn't die in the hands of Lu Xiaoyan, he would die in the hands of the Wei Clan. He's all brawn and no brains. It's meaningless. The other disciples mocked. Whether it was those who disliked Tianyang or Wei Yunhai, they all spoke at this time. At this moment, Tianyang had already become a target for all the aristocratic family disciples to surround and attack. The reason why he became a target was not important. What was important was that as long as he could hit this target, the Liu family would have a whole new level of respect for him. Die for me, wait. At this time, a pleasant voice came from the sedan not far from Tianyang. Immediately after, a jade-like foot stretched out of the sedan. A beautiful girl also walked out of the sedan. Even the highest quality jade in the world could not compare to this fair skin, and an exquisite face that was like a work of nature appeared on the body of a person. She was tall, about 178 meters. Her legs took up about 70% of her height. She wore a light blue robe. Her body faintly emitted an aura that surpassed everyone's. Half-step reaching heaven realm, peak. Tang Qingchuan, the young lady of the Tang family, the future head of the Tang family. Miss Qingchuan. Seeing this person speak, no matter how angry Liu Xiaoyan was, he could only withdraw his hand and look at Tang Qingchuan with longing. Halfway up the mountain is not the place to fight. Wei Yunhai can't come back from the dead, but it's not a pity to lose this rare gathering. Then, why don't we start the battle at the top of the mountain now? Tang Qingchuan said. Hearing this, Liu Xiaoyun and Zhou Yonglin nodded. They would listen to Tang Qingchuan's words unconditionally. Moreover, Tang Qingchuan didn't speak up for Tianyang. Tiandang Mountain was tens of thousands of meters high, reaching straight into the clouds. If they fought halfway up the mountain, Tianyang might escape. But at the top of Tiandang Mountain, with Zhou Yonglin, Liu Xiaoyun, Tang Qingchuan, and the others' understanding of Tiandang Mountain and its height, it wouldn't be easy for Tianyang to escape even if he was strong. Master Yang, since you dared to kill Wei Yunhai, you shouldn't care about following us to the top of the mountain, right? Tang Qingchuan said. Her voice was ethereal and pleasant, but it was undeniably domineering. They're just a bunch of ants. What's there to be afraid of? Tianyang smiled and flew to the top of the mountain alone. He wasn't afraid of Tang Qingchuan's tricks. Perhaps she had already contacted the Wei family. However, in this world, what determined your fate was still strength. Whoever had the bigger fist was right. Tianyang didn't even care about Zhou Changkong, the head of the Zhou family. Even if the head of the Wei family came personally, Tianyang wasn't afraid at all. In Jiangbei City, only the city lord could make Tianyang afraid. How courageous! At this moment, Liu Xiaoyan sneered with a gloomy face and followed him. Zhou Yonglin looked indifferent. He had already fallen out with Tianyang. If he didn't deal with him now, should he wait for Tianyang to take revenge in the future? In just a few minutes, the Tiandang Mountain, which was tens of thousands of meters high, was under the feet of the four people. Looking at the ethereal clouds under their feet, Tang Qingchuan smiled. This time, no matter how strong Tianyang was, he couldn't escape. Master Yang, you're the away team. You can choose any opponent. Pick me, Liu Xiaoyan, or Zhou Yonglin. Tang Qingchuan smiled. Hearing this, Tianyang raised his eyelids. Why bother? Chapter 923. Let's attack together. Tianyang's languid voice rang out. Immediately, the entire sky-shaking mountain peak was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Attack together? Zhou Yonglin and Liu Xiaoyan were both peak of the younger generation of the four great clans. One was at the 8th level of Sea of Soul Realm, while the other was at the peak of 9th level. Tang Qingchuan had even reached the peak of half-step sky reaching realm. Before, Tianyang had killed Wei Yunhai cleanly, but in the eyes of those who were paying attention, it was only SOSO. An ordinary half-step sky reaching realm could do it, and if Tang Qingchuan attacked, he could too. And Tianyang's aura was too young. Tianyang had no intention of hiding his aura, and was too lazy to do so. Right now, he couldn't circulate his Zhen Yuan, so the most important aura of cultivation couldn't be emitted. As for his age, it didn't matter if it was known. Therefore, apart from the Qi clan's younger generation whose cultivation base was too low, everyone else Tianyang had met knew that Tianyang was absolutely not old. It was possible that he was even younger than Tang Qingchuan, who was only in his 80s. Being younger than Tang Qingchuan and having Tang Qingchuan's strength was already not bad. Moreover, he wanted 3 Heaven's Prides to attack together. Attack together? Hearing this, Liu Xiaoyan's face immediately darkened to the extreme. He said word by word, "Are you sure?" At first, I thought that since Grandmaster Yang could be treated so respectfully by the Zhou clan and have extraordinary strength, you couldn't be a fool. Now, it seems that Qingchuan was wrong. Tang Qingchuan's face was also extremely unsightly as he spoke indifferently. Zhou Yonglin didn't say anything, but his extremely unsightly and suppressed expression betrayed his true thoughts. You talk too much and waste my time. If you don't attack, I'll take care of all of you. Tianyang frowned and said without any trace of politeness. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyan couldn't bear it anymore. His peak 9th level sea of Soul Realm Zhen Yuan completely erupted, and like a barbarian elephant, he fiercely charged at Tianyang. Ancient elephant stomping art. Barbarian elephant galloping. Lu Xiaoyan roared, his Zhen Yuan erupting as he sent a palm strike at Tianyang. At this moment, Tang Qingchuan took out a zither and sat cross-legged, condensing Zhen Yuan, and began to play. Zither magic. Peerless Earth-class cultivation technique. Young Miss Clear Spring is serious this time. A group of aristocratic children cried out in surprise. At this time, Tang Qingchuan coldly snorted, and his hands danced on the zither like a storm. I'd like to see if Grandmaster Yang can withstand my heart-bewitching demonic music score. In the next moment, Xiao Chen's quintessence merged with his soul energy. The zither lit up with a black light, and strange sound waves shot towards Tianyang. The scions of the aristocratic families at the side only heard a little, but they already had a splitting headache. It was as if their souls were being bitten by magical beasts. It was hard to imagine what kind of soul attack Tianyang had suffered. Young Miss Clear Spring and Lu Xiaoyan have both made their moves. What about Zhou Yonglin? He shouldn't have given up, right? A scion of an aristocratic family asked doubtfully. In the next moment, a figure suddenly rushed out from Tianyang's shadow. It was Zhou Yonglin, Zhou clan shadow technique. Someone said solemnly. In front of him was a powerful palm strike from the elephant galloping wild. Behind him was a fatal blow from the Zhou clan shadow technique, and all around him was the endless sound of the zither. No matter how powerful Tianyang was, under such circumstances, he could only be seriously injured or even killed. This is the strongest of the younger generation in Jiangbei City? Not bad. He lives up to his title. At this moment, Tianyang smiled faintly and clapped twice. Clap, clap. Compared to the Tianxiao Great World without cultivation techniques, he is indeed much stronger. Tianyang sighed. Even though he had left all the cultivation techniques in his memory to the Tianxiao Great World before he left, there was probably no one who could stop a cultivator of the same level from the Xintian Great World. You're still talking nonsense when you're about to die. Lu Xiaoyan's eyes flashed with a ferocious killing intent. He activated the ancient elephant stomping art and unleashed a powerful attack. Die! At this moment, Tang Qingchuan's zither music and Zhou Yonglin's dagger reached the climax. Boom! A surging wave of air erupted from Tianyang's body. It was like a circular wave that spread out in all directions. He threw a punch at lightning speed. Lu Xiaoyan spat out blood. His ribs were broken by the punch. At the same time, Tianyang's left hand reached back and grabbed Zhou Yonglin's dagger. Ha ha! You're courting death. My dagger is dipped in poison. It's lethal. Seeing this, Zhou Yonglin laughed maniacally. It was as if he could see Tianyang dying in front of him. However, in the next moment, Zhou Yonglin looked as if he had seen a ghost. The sharp dagger that could split mountains and rocks like tofu was blocked by Tianyang's skin. It could not penetrate even a centimeter. How is this possible? Zhou Yonglin roared in disbelief. However, in the next moment, Tianyang turned around and slapped him. His teeth shattered into pieces. Following that, Tianyang glanced at Tang Qingchuan. Tang Qingchuan was stunned at first. Then, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Her music was disrupted and her body fell backward. One punch, one palm, and one eye. 3 of the strongest prodigies from the 4 strongest families in Jiangbei City were defeated. They did not have the strength to resist. Cough, cough. Tang Qingchuan's cultivation was the highest, and her injuries were the lightest. When Lu Xiaoyan and Zhou Yonglin were severely injured by Tianyang, she still had the strength to get up. Seeing the blood at the corner of the beauty's mouth and her pale face, countless disciples were furious. They could not wait to fight Tianyang. However, when they thought of Tianyang's terrifying strength, they all shut up. Grandmaster Yang, don't think that you've won, Tang Qingchuan hissed. Her face was full of resentment. This was the first time she was so severely injured since she was born. It was an instant kill. Do you know why I didn't do anything when Wei Yinhai died, when I was less than 10 meters away from you? Tang Qingchuan's voice was hoarse, and her face was full of smiles. I know that I can't defeat you, but there are many people in Jiangbei City who can kill you. Don't think that you can shake the 4 great families just because you have some talent. Looking at the time, the people from the Wei family should be here. Tang Qingchuan laughed loudly. At this moment, Tang Qingchuan no longer had the appearance of a transcendent goddess. Instead, she was laughing like a madwoman. Hearing this, the other disciples' expressions changed slightly. The people from the Wei family are here? Rumble. At this moment, the originally clear sky on Tiandang Mountain suddenly turned gloomy. The sun was still there, but it was as if its light was covered by a layer of dark sky. It could not cast any light on the ground. At this moment, a terrifying aura, accompanied by the sound of thunder, descended. Ascension Realm Level 6. Who is it? Which one of the Wei family is it? Countless people raised their heads and looked at the figure walking out of the dark sky. In the next moment, their pupils contracted violently. It's him? Who killed my son? A furious roar resounded through the sky. The figure walked out and glared at everyone. Chapter 924. The patriarch of the Wei family had arrived in person. Feeling the terrifying pressure from above, everyone below, except for Tianyang, could not breathe, regardless of their cultivation base. This was the pressure of a Heaven Ascension Realm elite, the pressure of one of the 4 major families of Jiangbei City. Who is it? Who killed my son? The patriarch of the Wei family's face was extremely gloomy, as if he would erupt with world-destroying fury in the next moment. Everyone below was trembling in fear. At this moment, Tang Qingchuan, who had recovered, looked at Tianyang, who was unmoving under the pressure of the Wei family's patriarch, and revealed a gloating smile. Ha! The rules set by the 4 major families of Jiangbei City are not something you can break at all. For those who break the rules, no matter how strong your talent is, only death awaits you. Tang Qingchuan laughed loudly, no longer having the demeanor of a goddess. The so-called goddess would also reveal her true nature after suffering a heavy blow. Hearing this, Tianyang's expression did not change, but his eyebrows raised. Is this what you're relying on? Heaven Ascension Realm LV6? Impudent. At this moment, an aristocratic family descendant suddenly shouted, Who gave you the right to speak like this in front of the Wei family's patriarch? Wei family's patriarch. It's this person who killed Wei Yinhai. The aristocratic family descendant said loudly, and at this moment, his face was full of flattery and respect. Hearing this, the Wei family's patriarch, who was standing in the sky, suddenly narrowed his eyes. A gaze filled with killing intent pierced through space and shot straight at Tianyang. It's you who killed my son? Yes. The aristocratic family descendant jumped out and said. Hearing this, Tianyang's indifferent smile did not change, but the Wei family's patriarch's expression darkened. I remember that today is the day of the gathering of the aristocratic family descendants. In other words, when my son died, all of you were there. The Wei family's patriarch opened his mouth and spoke in an extremely low voice. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed instantly. Well, what did this mean? But my son is still dead. Other than this bastard, none of you moved. So all of you must die. The patriarch of the Wei family let out a furious roar, and the aura of a 6-tier Heaven Ascension stage erupted. The expressions of the aristocratic family's descendants, who still wanted to curry favor with the Wei clan head, immediately froze. His entire body exploded. Boom, 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 boom. Other than Tang Qingchuan, Lu Xiaoyun, Zhou Yonglin, and the other top-notch disciples in Jiangbei City. Nearly 90 of the 100-plus disciples on the heaven-shaking mountain had died. This is the might of the family head. Reaching Heaven Realm LV6, he's definitely not someone who can match up to him. Tang Qingchuan's face did not show the slightest bit of dissatisfaction. Instead, he looked at the scene of corpses in front of him and murmured in admiration. On the other hand, Lu Xiaoyun, Zhou Yonglin, and the others' faces instantly turned pale. Even if the patriarch of the Wei clan was a transcendent existence at the 6th level of the heavenly completion stage, he still couldn't treat human life like grass. That was an aristocratic family descendant who was almost 90 years old. At the very least, they were at the 6th level of Sea of Soul Realm. What's more, there were countless aristocratic families in Jiangbei City behind them, and they were extremely powerful. However, the clan head of the Wei clan still killed him whenever he wanted to. You from the Tang clan, Zhou clan, and Lu clan, I won't kill you, but you won't have it easy either. The clan head of the Wei clan said coldly, his eyes filled with violent killing intent. Wei Yunhai was the strongest genius of the Wei clan in this generation. At the same time, he was also the most beloved son of the clan head of the Wei clan. His death had caused the clan head of the Wei clan to be extremely furious. Although Lu Xiaoyun, Tang Qingchuan, Zhou Yonglin, and the others were burning with rage, they did not dare to act out. After all, this was the Xintian Great World, a martial world that only cared about strength and not reason. Now, kid, how dare you kill my son? After dealing with the people around him, the clan head of the Wei clan looked at Tianyang with a cold expression. Those who were familiar with the clan head of the Wei clan would know that his killing intent was at its peak, and his combat strength was at its peak. If I, Wei Xiaotian, don't kill you today, I swear I'm not human. The clan head of the Wei clan, Wei Xiaotian, roared furiously. In the next moment, the true yuan of a 6th level heavenly completion stage erupted. The Wei clan's ancestral technique, Earth class superior grade, worldly dragon breaking technique. At this moment, someone's pupils shrank as he exclaimed in surprise. That's right. Wei Xiaotian laughed sinisterly. It's the worldly dragon breaking technique. To be able to die under my fist, brat, you can consider yourself lucky for 3 lifetimes. Worldly dragon breaking technique, dragon annihilation fist. Wei Xiaotian roared and threw out a punch in the next moment. A huge black dragon suddenly condensed on Wei Xiaotian's fist. At the same time, Wei Xiaotian's expression also turned savage. Die! He threw out a punch. The huge black dragon soared into the sky and dived down towards Tianyang. Worldly dragon breaking technique? Tianyang raised an eyebrow slightly when he heard that. A trace of amusement appeared on his face. You dare to call an Earth-class superior grade technique a broken dragon? Then I'd like to see how you're going to break my dragon. Tianyang smiled faintly. The ancestral dragon body and 108 ancestral dragon marks were unleashed. The Dragon Emperor's inheritance, 9 Heavens Imperial Dragon Technique. In an instant, endless ancestral dragon power surged from Tianyang's body and turned into a supreme dragon king overlooking the world. Rumbling pressure was released. This is... Lu Xiaoyun's pupils shrank as he looked at the Dragon King in disbelief. The black curtain that covered the sky because of the arrival of the Wei clan's patriarch instantly shattered. At this moment, the pressure of the 6th level of the Heaven Ascension stage that was pressing down on everyone vanished. How is this possible? Wei Xiaotian's pupils shrank as he roared crazily. He was a Heaven Ascension stage LV6 and the patriarch of the Wei clan, one of the 4 major clans of Jiangbei City. He had the worldly dragon breaking technique and possessed unparalleled strength. However, in front of this Dragon King, he felt that his life was in danger. How can a guy in his 20s or 30s have such powerful strength? This is definitely an illusion. An illusion. Wei Xiaotian roared. Dragon Annihilation Fist. Stubborn resistance. Tianyang smiled faintly, too lazy to continue speaking. He pointed out a finger. Dragon King's finger. No! Wei Xiaoyan's face turned pale as he screamed. The black dragon instantly exploded like a piece of tofu before the finger. As for Wei Xiaotian himself, he was completely submerged in the golden light. His physical body exploded. His divine soul shattered. The patriarch of the Wei clan, Wei Xiaotian, died at the peak of heaven-shaking mountain. Blood and flesh splattered in all directions, some landing on the faces of the aristocratic clan's disciples. However, they had no time to care. Instead, they stared at the scene in front of them with their mouths agape. The patriarch of the Wei clan, Wei Xiaotian. He was a Heaven Ascension Stage LV6 who dominated Jiangbei City and was known as one of the most powerful people in the entire EC prefecture. He was dead. He died at the hands of a young man. Chapter 925. Wei Xiaotian, the most powerful man in Jiangbei City, was dead. He was buried at the peak of Tiandang Mountain, sharing the same fate as his son. At this moment, Zhou Yonglin shuddered. He suddenly realized why his father, the head of the Zhou family, Zhou Changkong, treated Tianyang so respectfully. It was not only because Tianyang had saved Zhou Changkong, but also because of Tianyang's strength. If he could kill Wei Xiaotian, the head of the Wei family, what was the Zhou family to him? Even the Lu family and the Tang family might not be a match for Tianyang. It was hard to imagine that such a young man could possess such terrifying strength. Master Yang, Zhou Yonglin's teeth were chattering as he looked at Tianyang in fear. For my father's sake, I'm not close to Zhou Changkong, Tianyang said calmly. Zhou Yonglin's face instantly froze. It was as if he had been sentenced to death. Lu Xiaoyun, who was standing at the side, sighed as if he had accepted his fate. Kill me or torture me as you wish. Do you think I'll spare your life if you pretend to be so carefree? Tianyang glanced at Lu Xiaoyun from the corner of his eye, a faintly discernible smile hanging from the corners of his mouth. Lu Xiaoyun was no fool to be able to reach his position. He knew that his value to the Lu family was indeed extraordinary. However, it would be a loss for him to offend the head of the family for his sake. For a big family like the Lu family, the most important thing was their own interests. The family's interests were paramount. Everything else was just empty talk. Therefore, when Tianyang displayed the strength to defeat Wei Xiaotian, Lu Xiaoyun's life no longer belonged to him. You do have a bit of talent, but it's nothing much. Tianyang's lips curled into a smile. Lu Xiaoyun's mouth twitched when he heard that. A little? Nothing much. Although his talent was not as good as Tang Qingchuan's, he was still one of the best in Jiangbei City. In Tianyang's eyes, he was still so unbearable. However, if I want to find an underling, I only need one. Between you and Tang Qingchuan, who will you choose? Tianyang said with a faint smile. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingchuan shuddered. He looked at Tianyang as if he was looking at the devil's smile. This method of extermination was too vicious. There was only one, which meant that between Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingchuan, only one could survive. In this way, no matter who survived in the end, they were bound to offend the other family, and Tianyang's hatred would be equally divided between them. Get over here. At this moment, Tianyang raised his eyebrows and waved his hand. Those who wanted to jump off the peak of the Tiandang mountain to escape were called back. He was completely powerless to resist. You guys have some value. Your talent isn't that great. No matter how you think about it, you can't threaten me. However, these two are different. You guys go back obediently and inform them. As for Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingchuan, go ahead and fight. Tianyang smiled slightly. Hearing this, the surviving young master's hearts trembled. They could survive? Thank you for your kindness, Grandmaster Yang. The Han family will remember this for generations to come. The young master who wanted to run immediately knelt down and kowtowed 3 times respectfully as he said loudly. When the others saw this, they followed suit and knelt down without Tianyang's pressure. Their faces were full of expressions of relief. Some people looked at Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingchuan, revealing a trace of sympathy for the loss of both of them. In the past, although Lu Xiaoyun and Tang Qingchuan were high and mighty, They were still on the same level as them. Now, however, they could only crawl and tremble in front of the same person. They were going to be even more miserable. They still had to kill each other. I heard that Lu Xiaoyan seems to be interested in Tang Qingchuan. On the way down the mountain, a young master whispered. However, before he could finish, he was interrupted in a panic. Shut up. Don't say anything. Reporting down the mountain is the right thing to do. What if the devil heard this and thought that they were trying to absolve them? If that was the case, they would all die. Yes, yes, yes. Hearing this, the young master immediately nodded and ran away, not daring to speak again. In less than 3 minutes, on the entire Tiandang mountain, only Zhou Yonglin, Lu Xiaoyun, Tang Qingchuan, and Tianyang were left. There were also more than 90 corpses. On the other hand, Zhou Yonglin's expression was complicated. If he had stood up for Tianyang when he was being bullied by Wei Yunhai, would he have been able to avoid the disaster of death? Unfortunately, there were no ifs. 3, 2 dead, 1 alive. I don't care what happened in the middle. Whether it's killing or suicide, the result will be out in 15 minutes. Tianyang said indifferently. His expression was calm, as if he was talking about a trivial matter. For someone at Wu Zun's level, this group of Sea of Soul Realm geniuses were indeed insignificant. They were not much different from ants. Master Yang, Zhou Yonglin said tremblingly. You see, however, before he finished speaking, Zhou Yonglin felt that his chest was suddenly pierced through by a chill. The next moment, the chill was pulled away. Zhou Yonglin's blood also spurted out. You. Zhou Yonglin turned his head in disbelief and saw Tang Qingchuan's resentful expression. Don't blame me, this guy forced me. Tang Qingchuan roared and stabbed the dagger into Zhou Yonglin's body again. Stabbed again, pulled out again. Zhou Yonglin still wanted to say something, but he felt his vision blur and fell down. Even until his death, he could not believe that the woman he loved would treat him like this. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change at all. At this time, Lu Xiaoyan's expression also changed a lot. Then he sighed. It turns out that the fairy-like Miss Tang is just an illusion. It's funny that I thought Miss Tang was really perfect. Forget it. Lu Xiaoyan shook his head and then condensed the vital essence in his hand. Since I liked you before, then don't let me see me die in your hands. The next moment, Lu Xiaoyan's palm slapped toward his forehead. He was actually going to commit suicide. Seeing this, Tang Qingchuan's expression did not change at all. It was still so resentful. Zhou Yonglin's blood was still dripping on the dagger. Interesting. At this time, a faint voice was heard. The next moment, Lu Xiaoyan was shocked to find that he could not move. It was not just himself. Tang Qingchuan. The sand and stones under his feet and the surrounding things were all frozen. It was as if time had stopped. Originally, I just wanted to kill you easily, but I didn't expect to put on such a good show. Tianyang smiled and then glanced at Tang Qingchuan, who was also shocked, and then at Lu Xiaoyan. Do you really want to commit suicide? Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyan was stunned. Tianyang's eyes seemed to be able to see through everything, piercing straight into his heart. Did he really want to die? Die for this woman? No. Suddenly, Lu Xiaoyan found that he could move. The surroundings also returned to their original state. No, you're not allowed to live. You said it. Let's solve it ourselves. At this time, Tang Qingchuan roared and waved the dagger, directly stabbing toward Lu Xiaoyan. Noisy, Tianyang casually slapped, and Tang Qingchuan's entire body turned into a bloody mist and scattered. I want to live. I'm willing to be your follower. At this time, Lu Xiaoyan finally woke up. He knelt on one knee and shouted loudly. At this time, the group of young masters also sent the news back to Jiangbei City. 90% of the disciples of the aristocratic families were dead. Wei Yunhai was dead. Wei Xiaodian was dead. And only one of the 3 strongest geniuses of the aristocratic families could survive. There was only one reason. Master Yang Tian. The news came. Jiangbei City was shocked. Chapter 926. Jiangbei was shocked. Even the 4 major clans hadn't expected such a huge event to happen at this gathering that only happened once every few years. It wasn't the death of an ordinary expert. It was the death of nearly 100 geniuses and a patriarch. It was very likely that the strongest geniuses of the three major clans were among them. Grandmaster Yang. Actually, in the Zhou clan, Zhou Changkang's face was filled with disbelief. He knew that Tianyang was terrifyingly powerful, possibly on par with him. However, he had actually killed the patriarch of the Wei clan, Wei Xiaotian. Zhou Changkang was only at Heaven Ascension Stage 5, while Wei Xiaotian was at Heaven Ascension Stage 6. The difference between them couldn't be measured with mere words. Grandmaster Yang is acquainted with the patriarch. Young Master Zhou should be able to survive. Right now, the Zhou family was already in a mess. Countless members of the Zhou clan had gathered in the meeting hall. They didn't have the time to care about the cause and effect of the incident. They only cared about whether their own people were injured or not. But Grandmaster Yang and I only had a simple transaction. We can't even be considered acquaintances, Zhou Changkang said bitterly at this moment. Hearing this, the members of the Zhou clan froze. In the Wei clan, damn it, killing Wei Yunhai wasn't enough. He even killed the patriarch. In the Wei clan's meeting hall, the peak Heaven Ascension Stage 5 Grand Elder of the Wei clan roared angrily. Waves of unstable suppressive might erupted, oppressing the Wei clan's 100-hectare courtyard. Everyone was trembling. If we don't kill this kid, our Wei clan's reputation will definitely hit rock bottom. The Wei clan's Grand Elder roared. However, no one dared to reply. They were different from the Wei clan's Grand Elder, who had lost his rationality. They all knew what level their patriarch was at. And what level was the person who could kill the Wei clan's patriarch? Wei Xiaotian. Those young masters were so frightened that they were spouting nonsense. They couldn't deduce the details at all. Right now, no one knew exactly how strong Tianyang was. There were many levels to killing the Wei clan's patriarch. The Wei clan wasn't afraid of risking their lives to kill him. They had spent a lot of effort to kill him. However, what if Grandmaster Yang had easily killed him? Perhaps in the entire Jiangbei city, apart from the city lord, who was half a step away from Wu Zun, no one else was Master Yang's enemy. The Lu family. Dead silence. The Tang family was incomparably furious, including the families of the 90 aristocratic families. The entire Jiangbei city was in an uproar that night. Tiandang Mountain. I can't be bothered to make a contract for you, so I can't be bothered to hold you hostage. But you should know what the consequences are if you do something bad to me behind my back. Tianyang said plainly. Lu Xiaoyan was kneeling on the ground in front of him. We will follow Grandmaster Yang's lead. I, Lu Xiaoyan, hereby swear that if I do anything that is detrimental to Grandmaster Yang, then my Tao heart will be shattered and my cultivation will be crippled. With the heavens as my witness, with Tao as my oath. Lu Xiaoyan suddenly stood up and chanted an ancient incantation. In the next moment, the night sky, which was already dark with few stars, suddenly exploded with bolts of lightning. The oath to the heavenly Tao, the heavens and earth as a witness. If he violated it, then the consequences would not be as simple as the oath. His soul would be destroyed by the heavens and the earth, and he would never be reincarnated. Of course, some mighty figures with extraordinary means could use various methods to avoid the heavenly oath or play word games to nullify the oath. However, Lu Xiaoyan's words were engraved in his heart. As the son of the Lu family in Jiangbei City, it was impossible for him to have any extraordinary means. Not bad. Tianyang nodded. Then, he waved his right hand. A soul that had been hiding on the ground was summoned. Those who can use musical spells are usually not people who die easily. Moreover, I deliberately held back. Since you are so sincere, I'll let you deal with this guy, Tianyang said with a smile. At this moment, the soul revealed a human figure. It was Tang Qingchuan from the Tang family, who wanted to kill Zhou Yonglin and Lu Xiaoyan, but was killed by Tianyang with one slap. Yang, if you kill me, not only will the Tang family take revenge on you, Jiangbei City, and even the Sky Qin Palace behind me. Tang Qingchuan knew that he could not escape, and immediately shouted wildly. You are not afraid of the Tang family, But are you not afraid of the Jiangbei city lord who is half a step away from Wuzun? Moreover, there is the Sky Qin Palace. My Sky Qin Palace has Wuzun's realm, and my master, Elda Yuexin, is a mighty figure who is half a step away from Wuzun. She can kill a cultivator of your level thousands of times with just one hand. Let me go, break your own limbs, kowtow, and apologize. I'll put in a good word for you, and you can drag out an ignoble existence. However, if you kill me, the entire Xintian great world will not leave you alone. Tang Qingchuan shouted. At this moment, Tianyang shook his head. Shut up. In the next moment, Tang Qingchuan felt that his mouth seemed to be sealed by something. No matter how he tried to speak, he could not make a sound. I'll let you deal with me. Let me go or kill me. It's up to you. Wait, I want to make a trip to Jiangbei City. Tianyang said faintly. With a flick of his finger, Tang Qingchuan's soul fell into Lu Xiaoyun's hand. Lu Xiaoyun's expression also became uncertain. This was the person he loved in the past. As if sensing that Lu Xiaoyun's heart was wavering, Tang Qingchuan also showed a hopeful expression and looked at Lu Xiaoyun with a pitiful look. Tianyang stood at the side, standing at the top of the mountain and looking down at the huge Jiangbei city. Forget it. Lu Xiaoyun shook his head and let go of his hands. Tang Qingchuan immediately looked happy. Since I've become Master Yang's follower, I can't sit back and do nothing that threatens Master Yang even the slightest bit. Letting you go is like letting a tiger go back to the mountains. I'm afraid it's not a good word, but using all my strength to incite hatred. So, no matter how beautiful you are, you can only die, Lu Xiaoyun said. In the next moment, Tang Qingchuan's expression changed drastically. His soul power surged and directly broke through Tianyang's restrictions. Lu Xiaoyun, how dare you? Have you forgotten your previous feelings in goodbye? Lightning flashed between Lu Xiaoyun's hands. In an instant, Tang Qingchuan's soul was scattered. At this moment, Tianyang also turned his head and glanced at Lu Xiaoyun, the expression on his face unchanged. Since you're done, make a trip to Jiangbei City. I have some things that I want to know. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyun respectfully turned around. Yes, on this day, Master Yang consecutively killed the father and son of the Wei family, making a name for himself. Jiangbei was in an uproar, and countless families trembled. On this night, Lu Xiaoyun turned into Master Yang's follower and treated him respectfully. Chapter 9:27. Master Yang had entered Jiangbei City. Tianyang had no intention of concealing himself. He followed Lu Xiaoyun and flew toward the Lu family in the center of Jiangbei City. Regardless of whether Jiangbei City had a no-fly zone, no one dared to shoot down Tianyang. After all, how could a group of Origin Transformation Realm soldiers on the city walls contend against someone who could even kill the Wei clan's patriarch, Wei Xiaodian? The only thing they could do was to spread the news. Things like communication tokens were still very useful within a certain range. The moment Tianyang appeared in the line of sight of the soldiers, all the aristocratic families in Jiangbei knew of Tianyang's arrival. The aristocratic families who had just calmed down began to tremble again. Wasn't Wei Xiaodian already dead? Why did Master Yang still enter Jiangbei City? Was he still not satisfied with Wei Xiaoyan's death and wanted to wipe out the entire Wei family? While the aristocratic families were still trembling in fear and did not know what to do, Lu Xiaoyun had already led Tianyang into the Lu family's house. Xiaoyun, this is... The young masters had already described Tianyang's appearance, and Lu Xiaoyun was there to prove it. However, the elders of the Lu family still could not believe it. Or rather, they did not dare to believe it. This young man, who looked like he was only 16 or 18 years old, was Master Yang, who killed the head of the Wei family and struck fear into the hearts of the entire Jiangbei City. Shouldn't Master Yang be a bearded, skinny man who looked like he had seen the vicissitudes of life? At the very least, he was an old man with white hair and a long beard that fluttered in the wind. He looked like an immortal. Who was this explosively young and handsome young man? Master Yang, Lu Xiaoyun said respectfully. Although he looks a little special, he is the real deal. Hearing that, The elders of the Liu family were finally convinced. In the distance, when the young ladies of the Liu family saw Tianyang, their hearts raced and they whispered, "He's so handsome. I thought Master Yang was a middle-aged man or an old man. I didn't expect him to be a young man. Sisters, don't blame me for not giving you face this time. I must get my hands on Master Yang." Who's afraid of you? Is yours as big as mine? In the world of martial arts, apart from appearance, strength and talent were also important for a woman to choose her partner. Heavenly Sun just so happened to satisfy these three requirements. Appearance. After going through all kinds of body tempering techniques and absorbing the essence of the world, Tianyang's eyes. Strength. Killing Wei Xiaotian was enough to prove Tianyang's strength. Even in the entire Jiangbei city, he was one of the strongest. As for talent, there was no need to elaborate. That the patriarch has been waiting inside for a long time. Grandmaster Yang, please go in. The second elder of the Liu family, who was at LV3 of the Reaching Heaven state, said shakily. He was really. The description of the group of young masters had already described Tianyang as a great devil who would kill anyone he saw and commit all sorts of crimes. However, they all knew that this was definitely an exaggeration. Yang's Yang was the Yang. The girls thought their voices were soft, but in front of a heavenly ascension realm fighter, it was almost deafening. The elder of the Liu family was afraid that if he offended Tianyang, he'd kill all the girls. The Liu family might not be able to stop Tianyang. All right, Tianyang nodded with a faint smile. He naturally heard the girls' discussion, but he didn't care. Soon after, Tianyang followed the elder, who was trembling with every step, to the Liu family's meeting hall. At the entrance of the meeting hall, the master of the Liu family wore a solemn expression. When he saw Tianyang, he immediately revealed a trace of a warm smile. In reality, the master of the Liu family wasn't waiting for him. Just as he was lying on the bed with his wife, he heard the elder shouting outside. He was so scared that he couldn't take care of his wife. He immediately used his true essence to wash his body clean, then put on his clothes and ran into the lobby. This is Master Yang. As expected, you're handsome, elegant, and charming. What brings you to the Liu family? The master of the Liu family wasn't much stronger than Wei Xiaotian. He was still a distance away from the 7th tier of the Heavenly Ascension realm, but he was still a hair away. Looking at Tianyang's appearance, he looked relaxed and didn't suffer any losses. Even if it was an act, it at least proved that he hadn't risked his life to kill Wei Xiaotian. For such an existence, killing the master of the Liu family might not be a big deal. Oh, right, I'm Liu Fenglu. The master of the Liu family, Liu Fenglu, said. Hearing this, Tianyang's mouth twitched. Had he become a scourge? Did he have to be like this? I'm only here to stay for a while. I'll leave after I've finished inquiring about the matter. Tianyang said indifferently. I'm Yang Tian, so it's Yang Tian, Master Yang. We've been friends for a long time. Liu Fenglu's face was full of praise. Master Yang is really young and accomplished. It's getting late. Liu Lauer quickly arranged the best guest room for Master Yang. If Master Yang is wronged in the slightest, I'll hold you responsible. Hearing this, not only the second elder of the Liu family, but even Liu Xiaoyun was a little embarrassed. Master, the word hypocrite is written all over your face. All right. Tianyang shrugged and didn't mind it too much. The master of the Liu family's attitude was actually quite common. After all, facing someone who could kill someone of the same strength as you, it was inevitable that you wouldn't tremble in fear. It was like a mortal meeting a wealthy and influential merchant. Even if you used his goods, the merchant could kill you with a wave of his hand and even wanted to stay in your house. Thus, Tianyang was respectfully invited to the guest room. According to the second elder of the Liu family's muttering, Tianyang was even thinking that if the first elder of the Liu family wasn't in seclusion, he would have joined this fearful army too. Tianyang couldn't care less about what happened to the Liu family. At this moment, he was sitting on the bed. After checking that there were no eavesdropping devices around him, he relaxed his mind. The battle strength of the Xintian Great World is more or less the same as what I estimated, but for some reason, it's a little weaker. Looking at their cultivation methods, the grade is not bad, but when I use them, there's a sense of profoundness and obscurity. I estimated my strength based on the Tian Shao Great World. Now it seems that I have the battle strength of at least LV8 or LV9 of the Heaven Ascension realm. Tianyang muttered to himself, then focused his mind. It seems that the Xintian Great World also has secrets. Cultivation methods. Rays of light flashed across Tianyang's eyes, then he closed them. Vaguely, he seemed to have grasped something, but it was not clear. Meanwhile, the various aristocratic families were brightly lit. It was late at night. Chapter 928. The next day, everyone in Jiangbei City knew that Grandmaster Yang, who had killed the clan leader of the Wei clan, had arrived. The entire city was shaken. Someone had witnessed waves of fire erupting from the Wei clan's residence many times, but they were quickly suppressed. The door kept banging, but never opened. The Zhou clan and the Tang clan were unusually quiet. Only the lights were lit throughout the night. Master Yang, today is the day of the Zhou clan's auction. Why don't we go and take a look? Lu Xiaoyan came to Tianyang's door early in the morning and asked respectfully. This voice would not disturb one's cultivation, but it could also transmit information. All right, Tianyang thought about it for a moment before he agreed. Before he left, Lu Xiaoyan had helped him to collect a large number of items from the disciples of the aristocratic families and the Wei clan leader, Wei Xiaoyan's space bag. Now, Tianyang not only had the 3 portions of the Heaven Spirit Quintessence pill given by Zhou Changkong, but he also had all kinds of weapons, spiritual weapons, and medicinal herbs. Most importantly, he had the Earth Reiki. Tianyang did not investigate in detail, but the disciples of the aristocratic families, including the clan leader, had a lot of things on them. Even if it was not all of the wealth of the family, it was still very valuable. After a rough calculation, Tianyang had at least 100,000 Earth Reiki on him. In addition to the other weapons, medicinal herbs, the total value of the Reiki exceeded the total value of 100,000 Earth Reiki. If not for this, Tianyang would not have the confidence to attend the auction. Thank you, Master Yang. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyan smiled and bowed slightly. He hurriedly reported to the Lu clan leader, Lu Fenglu. Grandmaster Yang's every move was big news in Jiangbei City. Lu Fenglu was naturally very concerned. The Zhou clan. Due to the battle at the peak of Tiandang Mountain, the Zhou clan was extremely dismal. They were originally the weakest of the 4 major clans. Some of the first-rate clans could even compete with them. Now, the most powerful member of the younger generation was dead. The Zhou clan did not have any other powerful prodigies who could carry the burden. Now, they were not very enthusiastic about holding an auction. In my opinion, we shouldn't have let that Grandmaster Yang live. He is strong, but my Zhou family is not to be trifled with either. Shut up. Zhou Changkong furrowed his brows and roared. Kill Master Yang? Who's going? Is it me, a 5th-tier heavenly completion realm cultivator who is not even as strong as Wei Xiaotian? Or are you elders whose forces are not as strong as mine going? This matter was originally the fault of my Zhou family. Furthermore, Yonglin did not die at the hands of Grandmaster Yang. It was that malicious bitch of the Tang family, Tang Qingchuan, who killed him. With Grandmaster Yang's temperament, he wouldn't treat my Zhou family like this. What's more, if Grandmaster Yang was really such a cruel person, how could Lu Xiaoyan follow him so easily? Zhou Changkong said. He felt that it was a pity. Originally, the Zhou family could have been on good terms with the Tianyang and become Tianyang's ally. From then on, they could have seized the opportunity and leaped to the top of the 4 major families. It was not impossible. However, Zhou Yonglin's silence had silenced their ally, Grandmaster Yang. Let's not talk about this for now. The auction is more important. Compared to a dead genius, the family's foundation is more important. Zhou Changkong waved his hand. Hearing this, the other elders who wanted to argue could only nod silently. Since the head of the family had spoken, there was nothing they could do. Previously, Zhou Changkong had been surrounded by baleful aura, unable to display even half of his strength. Although he had a 5th-tier heavenly completion realm cultivation, he was more like a mascot in name. However, As Zhou Changkong's baleful aura disappeared, his fifth-tier heavenly completion realm cultivation recovered and even improved, and Zhou Changkong's status returned. Strength reigned supreme. Not long after, the largest auction house of the Zhou family's auction house was opened. Zhou Changkong sat in a private room, looking at the auction house that had been prepared in a few minutes, and shook his head slightly. After Grandmaster Yang's ruckus, not many people would come to participate. It was a pity for the auction items. Brother Changkong, I came uninvited. Is there a problem? At this moment, a hearty laughter suddenly entered Zhou Changkong's ears. Zhou Changkong also showed a hint of surprise. Lu Fenglu? Why is he here? By the way, I brought a little brother with me. It shouldn't be a problem. Lu Fenglu stood at the door and said with a smile. Hearing this, Zhou Changkong was stunned for a moment, then immediately reacted. He appeared at the door in an instant. Seeing the young man walking side by side with Lu Fenglu, and even half a step ahead of him, he was tongue-tied. Master Yang. Hearing this, the elders of the Zhou family, who were busy, suddenly changed their expressions and looked at Tianyang. Master Yang is here? Who is Master Yang? Aren't there only Lu Fenglu and Lu Xiaoyan of the Lu family here? Who is that young man? Shut up. That is Master Yang. What? This? Immediately, there were exclamations of surprise in the Zhou family. Tianyang was really too young. Even if his real age was only 25 years old, it was just a drop in the ocean in the life of a cultivator. For those old monsters who had lived for thousands of years, it was probably just the time of a seclusion. Therefore, the knowledgeable Zhou family members were in disbelief. It is Master Yang. Brother Changkong, why would you chase us away? Lu Fenglu said with a smile. He could not wait for Zhou Changkong to fall out with him. Everyone knew that Master Yang's methods were ruthless, and he would kill if he wanted to. It was not clear if he would be angered, but if he was angered, Zhou Changkong would definitely suffer. As the possessor and competitor of Jiangbei City's resources, Lu Fenglu could not wait for Zhou Changkong to go crazy and offend Master Yang. No. Zhou Changkong shook his head with a complicated expression, then looked at Lu Fenglu and the rest. The Lu family's private room is ready. Please. All right. Lu Fenglu smiled and was about to leave. However, Tianyang stopped. Master Yang, what's wrong? Nothing. Tianyang shook his head and looked at Zhou Changkong. An eye for an eye. The Zhou family and I have no more grudges. Hearing this, Zhou Changkong's face showed a trace of bitterness. Then he heaved a sigh of relief. It was good that there was no grudge. Then, please come in. Zhou Changkong seemed to have let go of something and smiled. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded slightly. At this moment, there were suddenly a series of announcements at the door. The Tang family head, Tang Lingfeng, has arrived with the Tang family young master, Tang Pengfei. The Wei family head, Wei Yuntian, has arrived with Wei Luqing. The Han family head, Han Peng, has arrived with the young master of the Han family. The Yin family head, the Lu family head. Loud shouts continuously sounded as if they did not stop for a moment. Hearing this, Zhou Changkong was stunned. Why were there so many people all of a sudden? Among them, there were a lot of people who had already said in advance that they would not be coming. At this moment, Zhou Changkong suddenly came to his senses. He looked at the young man's figure who had disappeared around the corner. He sighed in his heart and completely let go, regardless of whether it was right or wrong. Chapter 9:29. The Tang family, the Lu family, the Wei family, and the auction organizer, the Zhou family. The four families that controlled 70% of Jiangbei City's resources were all present. Moreover, the Yin family, the Lu family, the Jiang family, the Wang family, and the other aristocratic families of Jiangbei City were all present. Even when the Zhou family's auction was at its peak, there were not that many families participating. After all, the auction was about everyone taking what they needed. The influence of the aristocratic families did not matter in the auction. What truly attracted the aristocratic families were the items being auctioned. However, the items being auctioned were about the same as before. The influence of the aristocratic families had fallen to rock bottom. There was only one person who could cause such a grand event. Grandmaster Yang, it's already done. An elder of the Zhou family looked at the Lu family's box and said bitterly. He was the one who had been the most aggressive in calling for Tianyang to be punished. Now, he was the one who had suffered the most. He would never have thought that Grandmaster Yang had become the public enemy of the aristocratic families. The deaths of so many aristocratic families' disciples were directly or indirectly caused by Grandmaster Yang. Now, so many aristocratic families were participating in their family's auction for Grandmaster Yang. The other aristocratic families aside, the Wei family and the Tang family came prepared. Zhou Changkong stared at the Tang and Wei family's box inside. Hearing this, the expressions of the Zhou family's elders changed. Then, Patriarch, we have no more grudges with Grandmaster Yang. Now, we just need to do a good job at this auction. Zhou Changkong said decisively and then disappeared. Hearing this, the Zhou family's elder in charge of the auction nodded. Grandmaster Yang, I think the Tang family and the Wei family are up to no good. In the Lu family's box, Lu Fenglu narrowed his eyes and said, if I'm not wrong, the Tang family and the Wei family will make things difficult for us after this auction. What do you think, Grandmaster Yang? Ever since the news that Lu Xiaoyun was the only surviving member of the 4 aristocratic families, Lu Fenglu knew that the Lu family and the other 3 families had severed ties. However, he was not angry. After all, his family was still alive. He could not kill them to appease the other families. Besides, Tianyang was no ordinary person. Yes, Grandmaster Yang, why don't we leave at the last moment? Lu Xiaoyun also spoke up. He had made an oath to the heavenly Tao. Although he had not formed a contract, he had already formed a life link with Tianyang. If Tianyang died, Lu Xiaoyun wouldn't live for long either. From the looks of it, this auction was no longer a simple auction. Instead, it was a plot to kill Tianyang. It doesn't matter. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. No matter how many techniques he has, I will break them with a single punch. Tianyang shook his head and chuckled. He had the immortal bloodline. Even if he didn't have the heaven spirit treasure Xian Pill, he could still recover. As time gradually passed, his injuries began to recover. He only needed the heavenly spiritual treasure Xian Pill to activate the immortal flame, and his injuries would be fully healed in a year or so. At that time, he would be Wu Zun. He was Wu Zun, who looked down on Jiangbei City, laughed proudly in the EC state, and was considered a powerhouse even in the Xintian Great World. In his previous life, he didn't even take these families of Heaven Ascension cultivators seriously, let alone now. All right, Lu Fenglu and Lu Xiaoyun could only give up when they saw Tianyang's confident look. However, they were still thinking about it. Tianyang had just killed Wei Xiaotian, the patriarch of House Wei. Although he looked fine now, was he really unscathed? Although House Tang and House Wei hadn't sent their strongest fighters, they weren't weak either. Tang Lingfeng, the patriarch of House Tang, was at LV7 Heaven Ascension. Wei Yuntian, the grand elder of House Wei, was at the peak of LV5 Heaven Ascension. Moreover, although Tang Pengfei didn't join the Sky Qin Palace as his sister, Tang Qingchuan, who was at the Wu Zun level, he had joined a powerful faction with a half-step Wu Zun, who was equivalent to the city lord of Jiangbei City. Tang Pengfei's background, Tang Lingfeng's, and Wei Yuntian's strength combined were enough to make it difficult for House Lu and House Zhou to deal with them. Tianyang was just a young man in his 20s or 30s. Did he really have the ability to stop the 3 of them? Tianyang's age and appearance limited Lu Fenglio's imagination. After all, normal people started cultivating when they were 5 years old. According to this calculation, Tianyang had only been cultivating for 20 years. Even if Tianyang started cultivating when he was in his mother's womb, it would only be 25 years. 25 years wasn't short for people like Lu Fenglu, Tang Lingfeng, Wei Xiaotian, and Zhou Changkong, but it wasn't long either. This was the Donghai state, not the divine central continent, which was full of heroes and saints, or to the mysterious eastern divine land, western Buddhist Pure Land, southern Devil Land, or northern desert. Lu Fenglu and the others didn't have the impression that geniuses who were born with divine bodies and cultivated faster than a rocket existed. But Tianyang was different. He had the all-heaven sword, and part of Shuntian Wuzun's memory. He knew how terrifying those powerful geniuses were and how strong they were. He was reborn at 15, and Wuzun was 25. He was just a few steps ahead of them. Of course, if others were to know of these few steps, they would probably be astonished. But Lu Fenglu didn't know. At this time, the auction had already begun. The auctioneer was a petite girl, but no one had time to pay attention to her. Except for those from small families who wanted to join in the fun, everyone's attention was on the upcoming storm. Tianyang, on the other hand, didn't feel any psychological burden when he used the Reiki that he had snatched. He bought whatever he saw that he might need. Because of Master Yang's power, when a young voice came from the Lu family's box, everyone shut up. They didn't want to see how terrifying Master Yang was. The next item to be auctioned is a scroll from nearly 10,000 years ago. On this scroll, there may be information about the apocalyptic heavenly tribulation 10,000 years ago. Our Zhou family got this item, but we can't unseal it. We can only see the information on the first page. Therefore, besides the information about the apocalyptic heavenly tribulation from 10,000 years ago, there may be something else. But we can't guarantee what it is. The young auctioneer introduced. At this time, Tianyang, who was casually bidding, suddenly trembled. The apocalyptic heavenly tribulation from 10,000 years ago? Tianyang couldn't sit still anymore. In the Tianshao Great World, there was a civilization that was destroyed. The entire cultivation system was destroyed, and it took many years for the martial soul system to be developed. In the Xintian Great World, the cultivation system was difficult to operate. Could it be? Tianyang suddenly thought of the inspiration that he didn't grasp last night. Civilization, the apocalyptic heavenly tribulation. The starting price is 5,000 Reiki, and each increment must be no less than 500 Reiki. Before the auctioneer of the Zhou family could finish, Tianyang interrupted.